This is a world of heroes wielding swords and magic. Heroes Continent. At this very moment, this place currently has a large-scale massive war taking place due to the Demon Queen launching an all-out war against all the races. With the help of the Demon Queen's oppressive strength, the Demon Queen's army was like a hot knife through butter in their attacks. And the empires of the various races fell to ruin, one after the other. Very quickly, only the human race remained steadfast in their resistance. But alas, because of the internal strife and rebellions amongst the humans, their empire collapsed along with their defenses. Humans surrender, and just like that, she was dubbed the strongest demon queen in history, Elizabeth, as well as secured her position as the only ruler of this world. It was a complete domination. At the human empire on the edge of destruction, a priest was still struggling and fighting with Demon Queen army. Priest shouted, telling Elizabeth to don't think she have won with this alone. In the future, she will definitely be defeated completely by their hero, just like in the legends, Queen's Guard. Kick that priest in face. He is human prince. Wis Malfoy, and the priest he just kicked is Wis Malfoy's teacher, Priest Barrow. Wis Malfoy asked Priest Barrow to please get things straight. Because right now, Her Majesty isn't asking for his opinion. She's giving him an order. Priest Barrow yelled that it's all bullshit. And Wis Malfoy is a patricide committing, enemy welcoming, traitor of the human race. Priest Barrow even cultivated him as if he were the prophesied hero in vain. Wis Malfoy get angry to hear Priest Barrow's nonsense. He told Priest Barrow since he missed Wis Malfoy's useless father of his so much, Wis Malfoy will just let Priest Barrow join him. Wis Malfoy unleashed his demon hand and transformed it into Demon's arm. But when Wis Malfoy struck at Priest Barrow, a dark shadow appeared behind him telling him to stay his hand. Wis Malfoy stopped his attack right before it hit Priest Barrow. Wis Malfoy knees in front of that shadow. That shadow asked Priest Barrow that since he said that he will stand by human side in the future, and it will end Demon Queen's defeat, so he better explain what he mean to this queen, Oregon. Else his death would not be a easy one. The existence standing in front of Priest Barrow is Demon Queen, Elizabeth. Elizabeth threatened Priest Barrow by telling him that this queen has 1,000 different ways to make him suffer a fate worse than death. Priest Barrow was too scared to see his death in Elizabeth's eyes. He started telling her that the prophecy states that when the prophesied hero pulls out the holy sword, it will be the day the demon race's reign comes to an end. The holy sword is the sword embedded in the stone platform in the main hall. After telling her everything Priest Barrow said he will never tell her, he will never betray the human race. Priest Barrow has lost his mind to fear. Elizabeth looks at stone platform in which holy sword, Alpha, was embedded. The legends tell of the hero receiving the right to challenge this queen because he pulls out this sword. As Elizabeth put her hand on that holy sword, she thought that it's interesting. Elizabeth said this queen shall look forward to his arrival here then. Since then, Elizabeth was waiting, but the first year under Elizabeth's reign ended while wadding. Then second year under Elizabeth's reign ended while wadding, as well as third, fourth, and fifth year ended. And now it's the 15th year under Elizabeth's reign. Under the Demon Queen's absolute rule, all the past practices and inequalities amongst the races were all abolished. Everyone was able to get along on equal standing. Without disputes, everyone was able to live in peace and harmony, developing together. Very quickly, Heroes Continent began thriving and flourishing. Additionally, because they were afraid of the rare peace being destroyed, an anti-hero alliance emerged. They resolutely rejected the arrival of the prophesied hero. Demon Empire at the initial Human Empire meeting hall. Demon Queen Elizabeth asked her subordinate, do they have any news on the prophesied hero, Chancellor of the Elf race? Twillia reported to Elizabeth that the elf race has already mobilized all the tree insects to search, but they could not find a single piece of information regarding the prophesied hero, Chancellor of the Dwarf race. Heimerdinger told Elizabeth that the dwarves are not very good at collecting information, but according to the information compiled from every weapon store around, there has been nobody suspicious. Chancellor of the human race, Aristotle said that he believed that even if that prophesied hero does make his appearance, him standing up against them will be in vain, so they need not worry about him at all. Chancellor of the demon race, Jim whispered and told Aristotle that Her Majesty isn't afraid of the prophesied hero. Instead, she really wants him to come. In order to act in response to that prophecy, Her Majesty gathered all sorts of ancient books on magic and war tactics to research. Chancellor of the Beastman race, Muggle told Aristotle that as long as Her Majesty wills it, she could annihilate Heroes Continent in a split second. Twillia said that it's that idiot Barrow's fault. What prophecy? It's just a load of nonsense. With Her Majesty ruling it is their fortune. They can just let the prophesied hero die. Suddenly, someone entered yelling, "Reject the hero! Reject the hero in the hall!" Heimerdinger said, "Speak of Barrow, and he shall appear." Initially High Priest of the human race, now President of the Demon Queen Fan Club. President of the Anti-Prophesied Hero Association, Barrow Smith, he was shouting. "Support the reign of Her Majesty. The Demon Queen reject the arrival of the hero." Demon Queen with one flick of her finger grabbed Priest Barrow by neck. Elizabeth was too angry. She asked Priest Barrow to explain himself to this queen. "Where is that prophesied hero?" Priest Barrow was too scared. He told her that actually, the prophecy doesn't necessarily have to be accurate. When the target exceeds the expectations of the prophecy, like Your Majesty, for example. Miss Malfoy greets the Demon Queen and said that Priest Barrow is right. It is a great offense to take that stupid prophecy and apply it to Her Majesty. It is too great an offense. Her Majesty need not take offense in the slightest. This official has had new findings recently. Elizabeth hit Miss Malfoy with her tail, and in cold voice told him to get lost. Miss Malfoy was scared. He said he understood. Elizabeth threw Priest Barrow and shouted that her subordinates are bunch of trash. Elizabeth said, "The king have reached the peak of the world, holding the power of the world. She wait for the legendary hero to challenge her, and then become his stepping stone to fame. She have studied all the ancient magic books of the hero continent, and after countless hardships, she created the doomsday magic to wait for hero's challenge. But hero is nowhere to be seen. Where is he?" She was looking at the holy sword and getting angry thinking all this. Then she put her hand of the holy sword and said that since hero isn't coming to her. Jim, Twillia and all the Chancellor were scared, asking Queen Elizabeth that she don't mean to, Elizabeth shouted. "That she'll go to herself then." Elizabeth grabbed the holy sword and tried to unleash it. There was a huge shockwave of aura around Elizabeth. It was hard of Elizabeth to pull out the holy sword, so she used all her power to and concentrate on holy sword. All the Chancellors were scared to see Elizabeth's power. They couldn't believe that Demon Queen is really going to pull out Hero's sword. Suddenly, a huge energy light beam comes out of the rooftop of the Queen's palace, and the Demon Queen Elizabeth successfully pull out the holy sword. Elizabeth looks at the holy sword and thought that, who said that only the legendary hero can pull it out? She can do it too. When Elizabeth was holding the holy sword, she got a vision of a faraway mountain range, and on top of a mountain, there is a house. She thought that legendary hero is hiding there. Elizabeth raised her hand and used Labus magic. A magic circle appear. The magic she going to use was forced teleportation. When Miss Malfoy saw that she is going, he runs towards her asking her to please let him continue to serve her by her side. But he was too slow, and Elizabeth teleported. Miss Malfoy could only get her one hair. He was too sad because his master left him. On the other hand, at the newbie village, the legendary hero was wearing farming clothes and was holding an axe. He said that farming is too peaceful. His name is Leping. In reality, he is just an ordinary office worker, living a dull life, not fond of playing games or watching anime. The only pleasure is probably watching his favorite short videos on the way to work. When he was watching some short video, he said, "He's so envious. If only he could live like this too." And the next moment he teleported in this world. He was confused at first, but under the guidance of the newbie system, he slowly learned the basic survival skills here. He don't know anything about this different world at all, but it doesn't matter. Isn't this the kind of pastoral life that he want? His body is much healthier than when he was working. But one day while he was working, the newbie system told him that after this period of newbie training, Leping have fully met the conditions to leave the newbie village. So system asked him to please start his adventure. Leping asked system that isn't it fine now? Why do we have to leave? Newbie system told Leping that after leaving the newbie village, Leping will meet all kinds of other people in this world. He can learn various skills of sword and magic from them, become the legendary hero, and kill the Demon King. So please start your adventure. But system was shocked to hear that Leping don't want to kill any Demon King at all. Can't he just continue living here? System said. Of course not. Killing the Demon King is the player's mission. System message comes one after another asking Leping to please start his adventure. The system kept urging him to leave the newbie village and start an adventure, but besides nagging, it can't do anything to Leping. So to hell with what Demon King, Leping just want to live like this forever, because there is a special time barrier here that can completely hide the newbie village for safety, and inside the barrier, a day has far more than 24 hours of time perception, which also allows Leping to do more things he like. Leping do farming and level up, he do hunting and level up, he so forging and level up. He still know nothing about swords and magic, but for him who doesn't go out for adventure, those are not important at all. Through exchanging points from newbie tasks, he slowly built his ideal pastoral home from scratch. Until one day, newbie System get too angry at Leping. System yell at him that, how can he be this outrageous? In this world of sword and magic every day, he only know how to farm and fare, ignoring System's suggestions completely. How is this a legendary hero at all? Leping only know how to play with newbie points and exchange them for maintenance tools. He don't want to learn any sword skills or magic at all. System's various adventure assistance functions have no room to play at all. System hate it. System hope. Leping die soon by the Demon King, and then System crashed, and then disappeared. Leping was now free, and was doing farming to survive. And one day when Leping saw that the firewood seems to be running low, so he thought he should prepare some first. But he forgot to bring his axe back from the woods when he went out to chop wood in the morning. Suddenly, Leping noticed that dark clouds are forming with lightning. Leping said that there's no way at this time it will rain. But Leping don't know that it's not raining clouds, but it's a magic circle which Elizabeth used to teleport there. Elizabeth said that she finally found the legendary hero. But Leping ignores her and runs towards the house, shouting that it's going to rain heavily all of a sudden, and all his clothes and dried fish are going to get wet. Elizabeth was lost of words. Leping said, luckily he made it in time, otherwise his dried fish and sausages would have gone bad. Wang Kai, an electronic pet dog for companionship, comes running towards Leping. Wang Kai run around Leping to play, but Leping told Wang Kai to stop it, because it's about to rain, so hurry back inside. Suddenly, Leping hear a sound. When he looks at the sky, he saw something flying in the sky. He asked Wang Kai, what's that thing in the sky? Elizabeth told Leping that he is quite dull. How dare he address her as something? Leping said sorry to her, saying he didn't see it clearly earlier. Leping was thinking, why did someone suddenly come here? Isn't the newbie village supposed to be completely safe? Elizabeth decided to let's verify first if Leping is the hero or not. Elizabeth threw the holy sword at Leping. Leping asked her to wait, but it was too late. Leping was scared, so he covered his face by his hand. Elizabeth was surprised to see that the holy sword didn't hit Leping and turns around and get in his hand. Leping consciously grabbed to the sword and move it like the legendary hero. But he returned back to normal, was confused that something suddenly flew into his hand. Elizabeth was also confused to see Leping. What's going on? The recognition of the holy sword Alpha can't be wrong, but Leping's magic sensing ability is so low that even ordinary soldiers surpass it. She thought, could it be that Leping is hiding his true power? Elizabeth was very angry. She made a magic circle and shouted that she is Elizabeth, the strongest demon queen in history, and today, she shall completely obliterate Leping, the legendary hero. Leping get too scared when he hear that she is demon queen. Leping was thinking that why is she here when he haven't left this place? Wang Kai was barking at Elizabeth. Leping told Wang Kai to shut up. Don't provoke her. Leping saw that Elizabeth used her abyss magic, and many magic circle appeared in the sky. Elizabeth used extinction magic and summoned many giant rocks to throw at Leping. Leping understand now. As Tai System said, the meeting between the hero and the demon queen is inevitable, even if he never left the newbie village. Leping turned around and threw the holy sword. Now there's nothing more to say. He started waking towards his house, but his legs were shaking in fear. He was thinking that, so far he've been a newbie noob, but the final boss has come knocking. So besides accepting his fate, what else can he do? Leping grabbed his door and looks back, thinking perhaps he should be content. He have no regrets, knowing he could spend such happy times here. Leping goes inside the house thinking that in the end, he will return to zero with this home. Leping closed the door as he have accepted his death. But Elizabeth gets angry because what it looks like to her that Leping smiled at her and challenged her to come if she can. Elizabeth shouted that it's unbelievable. Leping is an arrogant bastard. She launched those giant rocks at Leping's house. When Wang Kai saw those rocks, suddenly, some commands started running in his mind. When those rocks were about to hit the house, Wang Kai's calculation was completed. From Wang Kai's stomach missile launcher and many more weapons pop up, Wang Kai turned into War Robot and destroyed all those giant rocks with his missiles. After destroying that giant rock, Wang Kai started barking again at Elizabeth. Elizabeth said as expected, the hero from the legend dares to be so arrogant. It turns out he rely on having an advanced magical tool with awakened sentience. She unleashed her power, and said that in front of her everything is inferior. In the sky it looks like clouds are going to falling, but it was Elizabeth's apocalyptic magic. Elizabeth said, she've lost interest in probing the hero any further. So let's end it here. The magic she used this time is earth recasting. A super laugh energy ball started falling from the sky towards the beginner's village. Again, Wang Kai started calculating the attack power, and as his calculation completed, Wang Kai's mouth opened and a black energy ball started farming. When that black energy ball saw sufficient energy, then Wang Kai launched it at Elizabeth. Elizabeth easily dodged that black energy ball, saying it's useless. That black energy ball hit Elizabeth's super large energy and disappear. Elizabeth laughs and told Hero to disappear obediently along with this land. But to her surprise, Wang Kai's black energy ball was a quantum mechanical black holes. It blast and absorbed Elizabeth's super large energy ball and disappear. Elizabeth was too stunned to see that her apocalyptic magic has been cracked. Elizabeth was scared, thinking, what did Hero Leping do inside the house to crack her magic? But little did she know that Leping was simply lying on his bed, all prepared and is waiting for death. Elizabeth comes down on the ground where Elizabeth was. She looks at Wang Kai. Wang Kai looks at her with anger while barking at her. Elizabeth started laughing like crazy. Then her eyes turns black, and she said that unexpectedly. In the end, it's she who underestimated legendary Hero. But Elizabeth's hands started extending, her wings extended, and because more scary, she told Hero to don't get too conceited. Because so far she've only used less than 30% of her power. Elizabeth powered up and goes in her demon god form. She shouted, "Impudent scoundrel, I show you what real terror is." Elizabeth fly towards Wang Kai with her full power, and Wang Kai also goes in his war robot mode to fight Elizabeth. There was huge energy blast when both of them collide with each other. 1 hour later, Leping fall asleep with waiting for his death. When his sleep break, he wakes up thinking, have he already died? But when he looks forward, he saw the same things he had in his house. He was surprised that isn't he still at home. When he stand up, it seems quiet outside too. Leping grabbed the door lock with his shaking hands. He was scared, thinking that the demon queen wouldn't be waiting for him out there like a maniac, right? Leping slowly opened the door and looked outside. There was smoke everywhere, in that he was Elizabeth in demon god mode who has destroyed Wang Kai. She cracked Wang Kai's front screen with her big nails. When Elizabeth saw Leping, she threw Wang Kai's body and turned around. Elizabeth's eyes were full of killing instincts. She said to Leping that she is truly sorry, that she completely destroyed the magical tool he was so proud of. As she was coming towards Leping, he was too scared. He told her that it's okay. Can't they sit down and talk? Elizabeth said. Sure, they can talk after she killed Leping. But Elizabeth's head started shaking. Elizabeth thought that this is unbelievable to push her to her limits. Is this the ending that was foretold for her? And at last Elizabeth lost consciousness and fall on the ground. Leping was surprised to see her falling down. He held her in his arms and asked her if she's okay. Elizabeth's demon god mode started dissipation. As her armor was despairing, her clothes started despairing. Leping was too shocked to see it. He asked her that what is she trying to do? But Elizabeth's all clothes despaired. Leping got a solid nosebleed after seeing Elizabeth's naked body. After some time at night, Elizabeth was sleeping on a bed while she was handcuffed. But she was wearing clothes now. Suddenly she wakes up. She couldn't believe that. She, the demon queen, has suffered a humiliating defeat, and instead of taking the opportunity to kill her, Hero imprisoned her. Did he do it to show his power to the world? Elizabeth gathered her abyss magic in her hand to break free, but her magic didn't work. Elizabeth thought that this handcuffs are another legendary class artifact she've never seen. Elizabeth was irritated, thinking how much power is Hero still hiding. She looks around in the room and analyzes her surroundings. She thought that these strange things are definitely not simple. It seems this Hero is much more wicked than she imagined. She underestimated him too much. Suddenly Leping enters the room. He was surprised to see Elizabeth awake. When Elizabeth saw Leping, she told him that if he want to kill her, don't expect her to beg for mercy. But Leping didn't even listen to her. He was busy thinking that the demon queen is truly frightening. But this is his only chance to survive. He must seize it. He asked her if they can talk instead. When Leping was putting the food, he saw Elizabeth struggling with handcuffs. Leping told her that he just used this handcuffs as a precaution. As she know how terrifying Elizabeth is, Elizabeth was confused. She don't understand what Leping is saying at all. Leping believed there must be a misunderstanding between them. He said he'll unlock the handcuffs for her now, and then they can talk. But what Elizabeth understood is that Leping is looking down at her, and he is saying sorry, because from the beginning, Elizabeth had a misunderstanding. She thought she was formidable enough to challenge the Hero, but she is absolutely wrong, and if she want to stay alive, then fulfill his demands. Elizabeth was angry, thinking that Hero is threatening the demon queen. Leping unlocked her handcuffs. Leping said to Elizabeth that since he've unlocked the handcuffs to prove that he really have no ill intentions, so as promised they should talk. Elizabeth turned around, thinking that the current situation is very unfavorable for her. Strong individuals know when to bend and when to stretch. She'll endure Hero for now, but he'll regret his arrogance later. While Elizabeth was having all this thought, Leping was too scared. Because he had now free her, he told Elizabeth to take a rest for now. Sure, everyone is curious why Leping didn't kill the Demon Queen when she was unconscious. So in this world of swords and magic, Leping thought that it's perfectly normal for Elizabeth, as the Demon Queen, to possess a resurrection skill. Killing chickens and fish for soup is one thing. But Leping could never kill a person, however. Resolving the conflict between the hero and the Demon Queen doesn't necessarily require killing and fighting. Leping thought that as long as he can show that he posed no threat to her and become her friend, he can continue to live happily. Leping started laughing while thinking about a master plan, but Elizabeth get more angry as she thought Leping is still mocking her. Leping asked pick up Wang Kai from outside, but he was sad that Wang Kai has become such a mess. Elizabeth asked Leping if this thing is his most powerful magic tool. Leping thought, what magic tool? It's just a little thing he made while living here out of boredom, but he was too lazy to explain it to Elizabeth, so he told her that she could say that. He told her that Wang Kai was developed by him just recently. When Elizabeth heard that she had a smile on her face, she thought that this time, it's Leping's turn to be careless. After untying the handcuffs, she secretly used Abyss infinite magic to recover quickly. And Hero, after losing the protection of his most powerful magic tool, is like losing his right arm. She thought that the balance of power has tilted towards her. She stands up on the bed with full of killing intact. She said sorry to Leping for breaking his things. Leping told her that it's okay. The memory card is still safe. He pulled out the memory card from Wang Kai's head. Elizabeth was ready to use her world-destroying magic on Leping. She thought that this moment is the best time for her to eliminate the legendary hero. But right before Elizabeth could attack, Leping opens the closets. Where was Many Wang Kai's body? He told Elizabeth that since the body can't be repaired, so he made a lot of preparations here. Elizabeth was too stunned to see that Many Wang Kai. Leping picked one Wang Kai and put that memory card in it. New Wang Kai opened his eyes and started moving around him again. Leping told Elizabeth that it's fun to have a companion, but sometimes it's naughty. So Leping usually only activate one at home. Now Leping and Wang Kai looks like some devil to Elizabeth. Elizabeth was too scared she fall on the bed, saying that there is no way it's not possible. Suddenly Elizabeth smells something. She asked Leping, "What's this smell?" Leping told her that when he saw her faint, he made some food to warm her up. It was regular meat porridge and regular dumplings. Elizabeth said that only the weak need to eat. She have reached a transcendent state and don't need these things. Elizabeth said that, but her stomach start making sound. Elizabeth was embarrassed. Leping get happy because he thought that resolving conflicts with delicious food can surely work. Leping told Elizabeth that these are all made from vegetables and grains he grew himself. It's completely natural. He asked Elizabeth to please have a taste. Elizabeth, while hesitating, pitch one dumpling. She take a bite. She didn't say anything and just eat it. Leping was nervous looking at Elizabeth. Although he is confident in his cooking, will the Demon Queen with her status appreciate these newbie village things? Elizabeth, one by one, eat all the dumplings. Elizabeth said that with each bite, the meat juices burst like fireworks in her mouth, a natural and unadorned flavor. It also contains a high concentration of magical energy. Elizabeth was too satisfied. She didn't know before that this world actually has such a delicacy thing. It's so delicious that she, the Demon Queen, can't bear to swallow that last bite. When she swallowed it, she was shocked. Elizabeth's heart skipped for a second. A volcano of spices erupted in her mouth. Elizabeth could barely control herself. She was too embarrassed to show this side of her. She told Leping that it's so spicy. While shaking her body, Elizabeth asked Leping what did he add to the food. Leping was too scared because he added a bit of chili according to his own taste. He asked if the Demon Queen not handle spicy food. Elizabeth looks at Leping and thought that, just as expected of Hero, there were no good intentions. This evil hero has imprisoned her just to use her for research experiments. But at that moment, Leping remembered that there is this thing. He told Elizabeth to try century egg and lean pork congee. It clears heat and reduces fire. Elizabeth thought that this hero is too evil, feeding poison on one hand and providing the antidote on the other, playing with her in the palm of his hand. He thought that there's no way around it. This strange feeling is too uncomfortable. Elizabeth picked up the spawn and take a bite of the porridge. The second Elizabeth put in her mouth, her mind traveled to the heaven. That was a very peaceful feeling. Elizabeth was too comfortable. The quest for world domination, the struggle between the Demon Queen and the hero, all of these disturbances no longer concern her, letting go of everything, living carefree. But because of this that she've discovered how truly insignificant she is. Elizabeth advanced and breaking through at the same time. Now Elizabeth is 3-star demon queen. It was surprisingly to Elizabeth that, by consuming food, she was brought into a new realm. Under the influence of 2 extreme stimuli, her power has once again advanced. Elizabeth told Leping to don't pretend she asked him what do we want. Leping smiled little as he was sacred. He said he just want them to research how a demon queen and a hero can coexist. Elizabeth was now nervous because she thought Leping is telling her that, in this world, Elizabeth is the only one qualified to be the subject of his research as the hero. And he is asking Elizabeth to come let him help her become stronger, and then she defeat him. Leping asks her if that is okay. He'll also continue making delicious food to serve her. Elizabeth get more angry because she thought that Anai may be killed but not shamed, and she is the demon queen. How could he do that to her? It looks like to her that Leping is telling her that if she want to become stronger, he can help her. He is also looking forward to whether she can defeat him, but Elizabeth controlled herself and said never mind, forget it. Leping get nervous. He thought she is telling him to forget his proposal. He thought is she still going to kill him? Elizabeth stand up on the bed and ask Leping to listen to her. She said she can agree with his conditions, but he should know this. He is doing this not out of fear but to pursue the pinnacle of strength. Leping was confused when he heard that she would fear him. She is the demon queen. She hold the power she can do as she wish. Elizabeth laughs and told Leping to don't think that she'll lower her head and be submissive while living here. Her dignity as the demon queen must never be violated. Otherwise, even if she have to sacrifice everything, she'll destroy the hero. Leping was too scared to see her. He said he understood. He asked her to let's try to get along. Time flies quickly and 1 year has passed in the beginner's village. Now Holy Sword has been used as wood-chopping tool. The atmosphere around the house is calm, but Leping's mind is now calm. Leping don't know what should he do because things have gotten too complicated, ever since the demon queen. Elizabeth forcibly entered and broke the protective barrier of the newbie village. Time here has gradually synchronized with the outside world. Time synchronization isn't the issue. But what's disastrous is that without the barrier's protection, the newbie village has lost its concealment function and is completely exposed in the wilderness. And the monsters appearing nearby don't seem to be so simple. There are giant dragons, fire phoenix, and many more monsters are roaming the grounds. Leping know that he couldn't deal with any of them. He has the holy sword, but he can only use is to chop woods, but because of the demon queen's presence here monsters don't dare to approach. Leping thought that does this mean that once the demon queen leaves he will die? Suddenly Elizabeth's voice comes from inside the house asking Leping that it's lunchtime. Why isn't it ready yet? Leping get nervous when he hear that voice every time he reply that he is coming right away. So now Leping know that he must seek Elizabeth's protection if he want to survive in this world. The demon queen was watching the drama from the human world on the television. She watched drama all day and eat potato chips while lying on the comfortable sofa. That slim and hot Elizabeth has turned into a fatty drama addict. She even complains that she is tired of watching these recordings of Leping. She asks him that can't he get something new from that system of his. Leping comes inside the room while holding a bowl full of food. He told Elizabeth that the system has long disappeared, so it is impossible. He asked her to come on because he've prepared lunch. Elizabeth sit up and asked Leping to just give her a moment. She moved her finger in air and used a magic spell. 2 wings appeared on her back, but they were too small compared to when she was a proper demon queen. Elizabeth slowly fly with those wings of hers to travel to the kitchen. Elizabeth asked Leping that what kind of poison is in these chips he is feeding her because she feel like the more she eat the lazier she become. Elizabeth was angry thinking that Leping is using the guise of delicious food to paralyze her with these slow-acting poisons, trying to lead her to total depravity. This is too delusional. Leping told her that these chips are high in calories. Eating too many can easily accumulate fat, and people naturally become fat. When Elizabeth was surprised to hear the word fat, but when she look at her body, she really has accumulate too much fat. She tried to touch her stomach, but it was too soft and squeezy. Elizabeth flick her finger and use her deep sea magic on herself. The magic she used was negative attributes, conversion, and this magic transform Elizabeth back to slim and hot. Demon Queen. Elizabeth thought that Leping feed her all this so he can make her weak. She said sorry to him because all the fat that accumulated in her body has been converted into magic power. On the other hand, innocent Leping was amazed to see that magic can be used like this. Elizabeth laughs because another trick of Leping has foiled by her. She asks him how did he feel. Very disappointed. Leping could laughs and agree to whatever she said. He said, whatever Elizabeth say is right and ask her eat. Elizabeth's mouth watered after seeing the food placed in front of her. She said that today's lunch suits her taste perfectly, so she won't hold back. Elizabeth turned slim, but her habits are still that of a fatty. She was eating like animal. Leping asked her to wait and eat slowly. But she didn't listen to him. He told her that if it's not enough, he can make more. It doesn't matter if she eat more. Elizabeth stopped for a second and looks at Leping. She thought, what does Leping mean to say is that Elizabeth is still too weak? She should fatten up before he kill her. Elizabeth get more angry after imagine all that. Leping said for dessert, he'll go get it for her. Elizabeth thinking is Leping really treating her like a pig? In this past year she've broken through more than 10 times. She should have the ability to challenge Leping now. He was going to ask him to let's have a decisive battle. But Leping take out Elizabeth's favorite pudding lug from the refrigerator. Elizabeth's mood, swift from anger. When she see the pudding, she jumped from her sit in joy and asked Leping to give it to her. Leping thought that fortunately, this demon queen isn't that difficult to deal with. Having the right food can calm her down easily. On the other hand, miles away from the beginner's village, an old man was running away. He was not alone. A green-haired girl was also running away with him. Some ghost-like entities, who were making click-click sound, were after that old man and the girl. A ghost jumped from behind to attack. That ghost has scary nails and with it he tear the space. He used spatial tearing magic to attack both of them. When the old man saw it, he run more fast to dodge, and just when he was about to get out of the range, that ghost pull in her hand in the spatial, his strike get more strong and reach the old man immediately. But that was not a damage-dealing attack instead. It was a trap named Nail Cage to trap both the old man and the girl in it. When there is no way to run, old man pull out his sword to fight back. That green-haired girl name is Evil. Old man told Evil, who is also his daughter, to wait for him to hold them back. Then she keep going towards the town. It'll be safe there. Evil was injured at that time and couldn't fight back, but she don't want to leave her father behind and escape by herself. Old man told Evil that he promised her mother that he would protect Evil, no matter what, while both of them were talking and wasting time. All the ghosts catch up to them. The ghost in front use ghost fire and a super big purple fire appeared in the sky. Old man know that he must finish this quickly. He used the strongest move he has. He cover his sword with aura and swing it with full power towards sky. His strike was more powerful than the ghost fire, and it cut both the ghost fire and the ghost into two. When that ghost was falling from the sky, other ghosts saw it. Other ghost raised his hand on that dead ghost's direction, and that dead ghost's body turned into black fog and mix in with other ghost. When the other ghost fully absorbed the dead ghost, he grow a new head mask just like the dead ghost, and he became more powerful. Evil shouted that, no matter what, she won't leave her father. She aims at the ghost with her aura arrow, and use natural arrow magic to attack the ghost. But her arrows didn't do any damage to the ghosts because those ghosts are Dark Guild's apostles. Old man told Evil that she can't handle the Dark Guild's apostles. He said he don't know how long he can hold them back, so he asked Evil to hurry and go. Suddenly that ghost sit and put his frog-like hands on the ground. And when he released aura in the ground, it directly goes to the old man through underground. Old man jumped sideways to dodge. The ground got destroyed. Other ghost used this time to get close to the old man. Old man was in air, so he was unable to dodge a close-range attack. He used his sword to defend, but that ghost used all his power to punch him. Old man goes flying and hit a giant rock. That hit was too strong that, for a second, old man's eyes got blank. He threw up blood. Evil shouted her father's name while crying, but all this injury was not enough to take down that old man. He was still breathing and was conscious. He told Evil to don't worry about him and ask her, go quickly. The third ghost jumped from back to get absorbed in that two-face ghost. When all three of them fully mixed together they remove the black coat and transform into a dark blue giant ghost slime. Evil and the old man looks to tiny in front of that ghost because of losing too much blood. Old man in the end lost consciousness. Evil was too scared to see the giant ghost in front of her. While crying, she begged the ghost to please spare her father, and she'll go back with the ghost. But that ghost roars loudly with his ugly mouth. Now Evil realized that she is going to die. But just when that ghost raised his hand to finish them off, A more giant foot crushed that ghost to death. Just that unknown things. One foot was enough to destroy the ground around them. Rock and dust fly all around. But when Evil look in front, she get to scared. She saw that a lord mammoth was standing in front on her. It was the one who killed Thay Ghost with only his one foot. Both evil and bold man looks like ants in front of that mammoth. There was a house on the head on that mammoth. In that house, that mammoth's master, Immortal Frog, was leaving. Immortal Frog asked his big brother that the danger has been cleared. How should they deal with these two harmless humans? The one Immortal Frog called brother was leaving on the house, which was on Immortal Frog's head. The Immortal Frog's brother was Leping's mechanical pet dog Wang Kai. Wang Kai told Immortal Frog to do not harm harmless humans. He will take them back to his master to deal with. The sometimes later when Evil wakes up, she was still shocked to see that joint mammoth. But she find herself lying on the bed in an unknown room. She looks around to see where is this strange place and where is her dad. At that moment, she remember about her father's injured condition after fighting that ghost. She said that father is seriously injured. If he doesn't get treatment in time, he could. She removed that blanket and stand up. She was still wearing her armor. She immediately returns to the single door that was in that room. She opened the door and shouted for her father. But she was shocked to see that her father is all healed and is showing his muscular body. Leping praised Evil's father, saying that uncle must have spent a lot of time training to look like this. Evil's father said to Leping that as a warrior, physical fitness is fundamental. When Leping hear that Evil's father is warrior, he get too excited. He asked him if this, the warrior profession of another world, it's so amazing. When Wang Chai saw that Leping is happy, he started running in circles around Leping, but Elizabeth was irritated by Wang Kai, so she kicked Wang Kai with her foot. Wang Kai goes flying and hit the ground 3 times. Elizabeth was angry. She called Wang Kai stupid dog and asked him who told him to bring this riffraff back. The memories of defeat, being beaten and destroyed by the Demon King, resurface in Wang Kai's system, and it started shaking in fear. On the other hand, Leping completely ignored both of them. He touched Evil's father's bicep and said, "Wow, it's too sturdy." Evil's father make another pose and said that since Mr. Leping likes it, he won't hide it either. He use his 100% battle soul burning skill and tear apart all his clothes. That old man has turned into a muscle man with muscles everywhere. Leping get too excited to him like that. He make more poses to show Leping. Evil was too shocked to see her father like that. She asked him what is he doing. Evil's father was little surprised to see that Evil has finally woke up. He told Evil that he is trying to please their saviors. Then Leping told the situation to Evil. But when Leping was telling her, suddenly, Elizabeth jumped between them. She told Evil that now that Evil is awake, then both of them should get out of here. Elizabeth goes forward and warned Evil. She put pressure on Evil and told her that Elizabeth come first. Evil was too scared of Elizabeth, but Leping saw the situation and tried to calm Elizabeth. He said that it's rare to have guests, so let's go inside and talk. All of them get inside. Then Leping pours some tea for Evil and her father. He said, sorry because he don't have anything good to offer them in this rural place. He told them that this is the barley tea. He made himself, Evil, pick up the cup of tea and ask her father that, is this the miraculous potion he talked about? The one that would heal immediately after drinking? Leping laughs and said that it's too exaggerated. He just fed them some cold well water before. Elizabeth, who was sitting beside Leping, was not happy. She was thinking that by bringing these 2 weak humans back, what kind of evil experiment does Leping want to do? Is this mean that Elizabeth can't satisfy Leping? Evil's father told Evil that, although he was already unconscious at that time, he vaguely remember. At that time Leping was farming in a field when Wang Ai brought both of them to him. Then when Leping pour the drink in Evil and her father's mouth, he immediately wakes up and get all healed. He told Evil that if it weren't for Mr. Leping's help, he is afraid he would have never seen Evil again. When Evil hear all that, then she started questioning herself, that's such a precious thing, can they really drink it? Leping laughs and said that the adventurers speak too nicely. There's really no need to be polite. Evil's father thanked Leping again and take a sip that tea. Both of them were too shocked. A golden light comes out from inside their body. They felt that they are lying on a golden grassy field. They could feel the nature in there, every cell. They could feel the energy of everything. Both of them couldn't stop there, cry as they fell. How big the world is, how big this field is. Both of them advance in their realm. Evil's father, advance from 3-star Archmage to 4-star Archmage, and Evil advance from 1-star Mage to 1-star Archmage. Evil's father told Evil that their magic levels have all directly broken through and advanced. Evil said, "Yeah. Evil mother's elf bloodline has awakened and she've grown ears." Now after witnessing the boundaries, nothing really matters to them. Leping couldn't see all this. He asked them to let him pour them another cup. Evil's father told Leping that it's enough. He thought that Mr. Leping is really godly person. They can't stand this kind of torment. Leping said all right, but he was sad. He loved to serve them drinks and snacks. But Elizabeth took them all away, and if he take them back, it might annoy the Demon Queen. While drinking orange juice, Elizabeth warned Leping that very thing else's her. Don't even think about it. Leping said sorry to them because there is nothing to serve them. But both Evil and her father were not thinking about food, as them were scared of Elizabeth. Then Leping asked Evil's father that how did they get attacked. Evil's father name is Burrs. Burrs said they, as Mr. Leping can see, it was because of the elf bloodline in Evil's body. Evil told Leping that her mother was the saintess of the elf race, and she gave birth to Evil after falling in love with her father. But the elf race forbids intermarriage with other races. Leping asks so it's the elves who are trying to catch them, but Elizabeth intervened in the conversation. She said, "It's nonsense. The intermarriage ban between races was abolished long ago after the Demon Queen unified the world." Burrs sighed and said, "It's a long story. Ever since Evil's mother was forced to return to the elf Holy Land, he took Evil and hid away." Leping asked that does this means the elves still found out about Evil's existence, so they sent people to catch Evil. Leping thought it's amazing, it's like Romeo and Juliet from another world. Burrs said that because of his wife's sacrifice and returning to the elf tribe, elves have decided to spare them. The ones chasing Evil and Burrs this time are the envoys of the Dark Guild from the Demon Realm. Demon Realm and Dark Guild. Leping looked at Elizabeth and said, "Could it be?" Elizabeth get to angry. She shouted and asked Leping that what do we mean by that. Leping didn't argue with her and immediately said sorry to her. Then Elizabeth sit down and asked Burrs to explain to her clearly. Where did the Dark Guild and the Demon Realm come from? And why are they capturing elves? Burrs told Elizabeth that the Dark Guild is doing mysterious human experiments, trying to resurrect the Demon Queen who once unified the world. Evil told them that the elves are one of their materials, so much so that even Evil who have not awakened, her bloodline have become their target. When Leping hear that the Dark Guild is trying to resurrect Elizabeth, he looks at Elizabeth, expecting some explanation. But angry Elizabeth grabbed his neck and warned Leping to don't think she don't know what Leping is thinking. Leping said he know for sure. She've been here all along. He asked her to calm down. Evil asked her father that what is Leping and Elizabeth talking about. Burrs told her to don't be nosy in others' matter. When Elizabeth calmed down, she said it seems that in just 1 year, there have been earth-shattering changes outside. She asked Burrs that who told them that the Demon Queen was already dead. Burrs asked that isn't she, the Demon Queen Elizabeth has been missing for 500 years. If she were still alive, she would have come back to rule the world long ago. Leping was too shocked to her that it has 500 years. Je remember that Elizabeth has only been living here for a little over a year. Elizabeth asked Burrs that what did the rumors say, how the Demon Queen died. Evil told her that, according to the literature, the Demon Queen Elizabeth was killed by the legendary hero. Burrs told them that it is said that the battle lasted for a whole month, and finally, the legendary hero sacrificed himself to protect the hero continent, and died with the evil Demon Queen. Elizabeth get angry, how dare they talk such shit. Elizabeth was too angry and just the aura she released from her eyes were enough to make Evil and Burrs feel like they are in hell. Evil and Burrs were shaking in fear. Evil asked her father that what is this boundary again. Burrs told her that this is pure killing intent. Elizabeth looks at them angrily and told them that the rumor is false. Both Evil and Burrs were too scared that yes work comes out of their mouth without them knowing. Leping said, "That's right because he is that legendary hero." Leping was confident, saying it because that's what the system told him. Both Evil and Burrs get too shocked to hear that. Leping pointed at Elizabeth and told them that she is the Demon Queen Elizabeth. Information overload in both Evil's and Burrs's mind. Both of them vomit blood and lost consciousness. Elizabeth was every angry in Elizabeth's eyes. She felt like Leping is laughing while telling Evil and Buns to mock Elizabeth for him, because the Demon Queen has been imprisoned here. Quick laugh at her. Elizabeth slaps the table and said enough. All three of them get scared to see her angry, but Elizabeth stand up and left saying that she wouldn't entertain Leping anymore. Elizabeth was too embarrassed thinking that Leping is stinky Leping. She get it that Leping saved these people back just to humiliate her. He've gone too far this time. She will get her revenge. She snapped the door and left. When Elizabeth left then, both Evel and Burs calmed down. Scared Burs said sorry and asked Leping what is his plans for the future. What Burs want to ask is how Leping is going to deal with them. Leping was scared himself. He don't know what to do either. He told both of them to calm down. Leping was scared because after Elizabeth broke the time barrier, the time here became chaotic and out of sync, until it completely synchronized. It's been 500 years outside. At night, both Evel and Burs were lying on the bed. They were trying to sleep but couldn't because of fear. Evel whispers to her father that she didn't expect that. The truth of 500 years ago was like this. Evel thought that the Demon Queen fell in love with the legendary hero and gave up the world and chose to hide away. Like Evel's father Burs did for her mother. Burs whispers and told Evel that they have no right to compare their selves with hero and Demon Queen, since Leping told them to calm down first. So Leping must be thinking about whether to spare Evel and Burs or not. Evel asked her father that if Leping wants to kill them, why did he save them? Burs told Evel that just like how Leping casually helped them break through to the advanced stage with the sacred tea and almost strangled them. In Leping's eyes, Evel and Burs are no different from ants. Whether to kill or spare, it's all up to their mood. Suddenly Evel hears someone's footstep. It was Leping. He smiled like a devil and asked that since they are still not asleep, what are they doing this late? Evel get to scared to see Leping, but Leping turns on the light and asks them that, if they haven't slept yet, how about playing cards? Burs had a confused expression on his face, as he don't know what playing cards means. Then in the light of a candle they all sit on the floor to play cards. Leping explain all the rules of cards to them, to confirm. He asked if they understand everything. Burs reply that he understand roughly. Evel was thinking that as her dad told her before, this is Leping's test for them to decide whether to kill them or not. Leping thought that if they understand 50% of what he told, then it's good. He said he'll start dealing cards then. Evel had a question to ask Leping, but she hesitated to ask. At the end, she couldn't control her desire to question and ask Leping. She asked him that, what's the name of this game? She asked it because there's a sinister aura emanating from these cards that she don't understand why. Leping was surprised by her question as he was not expecting her to ask it. That question really stumps him at the moment. He thought that landlord card is probably not easy to understand for the people of this world, so he come up with a new name and decide to call it Dragon Fight. He chose that name because it was cool, but that cool name scared the shit out of Evel and Burs. Both of them were shocked to hear that name. Elizabeth, who left before and angry couldn't sleep, so she comes to check. She used her high-level magic concealment technique to part her body and soul. Now she was in form of soul, so others cannot see her and she can pass through anything. When she was roaming around the house, she heard that Leping is playing Dragon Fight, so she stopped to look. Leping explained them what Dragon Fight mean. He said that both of them are brave heroes who have to join forces to defeat the dragon. They can decide whether to be the hero or dragon according to the cards they draw. Burs whisper to Evel that this sure is a test for them, in both father and daughter's vision. Leping looks like villain, who warns them to think carefully before they choose. Leping pick up his cards and told them to also look at their cards. Burs whispers to Evel that there's no room for hesitation. He asks her to take her cards. Evel was scared to even pick up those mysterious cards. When she touched those cards, she felt like all her surroundings have changed into demonic hell. Burs was shocked. He thought, is this another realm? Evel was shaking. In fear, she realized that this is not a good place because just picking up the cards drained all her magic power. She couldn't even move her body. She looked at her dad and said, sorry, because she can't help him more. Burs told her that it's okay and asked her to leave the rest to her dad. On one side, it was life and death situation, and on the other side, for Leping, it was just like playing normal cards. He asked Burs if Burs want to be a dragon. Looking at his cards, Leping thought that, although he don't have many big cards, it's still a very good set. He also has big and small kings, so it's not bad, it's worth a shot. Burs and Evel reply that they don't want to be a dragon. Both of them have good cards, but they don't know it. Leping thought that if he get another 4 and 2, he'll have a winning hand. He again asked them if they are sure they don't want to be dragon. What Leping means by being dragon is if they want to change cards. but both Evil and Burs deny because they don't understand it. Leping said he won't be polite then, and he pick up a card, but when he turns the card, they are not that good, which could be seen by Leping's expression. Both Evil and Burs started shaking, in fear, thinking Leping is dissatisfied with their performance. Leping said he'll play first, and he played an 8. It was now Burs' turn. Burs thought, as long as they pass this test, Leping will spare them so they can't give up now. But when he pick up a card, he suddenly feel pain in his heart. Every time they play a card, it's at the cost of their life force, but Burs endured it and serves. Burs was shaking in pain. When Evil saw him like that, she gets scared. But Burs told her that he is fine, so leave everything to him. Scared Evil passed this round, and then it was Leping's turn. He looks at his cards and thought that besides the royal flush, a straight from 7 to Q, should he break the pair or not. If he do, they'll play a 2, and he'll be at a disadvantage. Leping was thinking too much and was getting too nervous. Leping said forget it, he also pass. Burs was too shocked to hear that he just pick up a card and get was sucked dry of his life force, and now he have to do it again. He asked Leping if he really not want it. Leping smiled and said no. Now all the pressure was on Burs. He thought Leping is deliberately making him continue to play cards, and it will continue to consuming his life force. In this situation, he have to get rid of all his cards as soon as possible. Burs directly show his 8 cards, 2 queen, 3 6 and 3 7. He said that according to the rules, this combination of cards should be called Flying Dragon. But when he put those cards, his heart skipped for a second. This move of his consumed large amount of his life force, but he endured. The price for this move was his one leg. Now he knows that the bigger the cards he play, the bigger the price will be. But what he didn't expect was that a huge flying dragon made of spiritual energy could come out from the cards. Both Evil and Burs were shocked to see it. Dragon start to prepare for his attack on Leping. Dragon collect spiritual energy in his mouth and shoot at Leping like a laser beam. Elizabeth was watching everything from sidelines. Burs got really scared, because it turns out that playing a combination of cards leads to a losing situation. Burs say he is doomed. He just offended the legendary hero. He will be dead this time. But Leping is fine. He don't get any scratch from Dragon's attack. Leping compliments Burs that Burs play really good. Burs don't believe his eyes. After Dragon's attack, Leping is totally fine. Leping smile and say he don't want it. Burs can continue. Burs' hands are shaking. He said he understand. He play his card A3. Evil said she pass. Then this time it's Leping's turn. He play his card. Both Burs and Evil say that they can't beat it. Leping smile and start to prepare a powerful move. Suddenly they were surrounded by a powerful blue light. Burs was shocked to see that. A sky-destroying wave come out behind from Leping. Wave attack on Burs and Evil. Burs said to his daughter Evil to hang in there. But Evil is worried about his dad. That sky-destroying wave swallow both of them. After surviving Leping attack, Burs and Evil say that they can't play anymore. But Leping start to prepare his next move and said that next is 3 of a kind with a pair. Horse carriage come out from air with soldier and prepared to attack on Burs and Evil. Burs got really scared and said he can't beat him. But Evil said she wants to try. She prepared her cards. But Burs is against the decision. He told her that if she want to play, she have to pay the price with her life force. Evil don't listen and said she can't hide behind him. She also want to protect her father. After saying that she also prepare the same move as Leping. Then 2 horse carriage show up with soldier and start to fight each other. Both of the carriages collide with each other. There was a huge blast of spiritual energy, and Leping's horse carriage come out unscratched. Burs was shocked. He looks at Evil's and asks her if she is okay. Evil reply that she is fine. Leping told Burs that it's inappropriate. Burs must protect his teammates, even if he break up his own cards. And the most important thing is determination. Burs looks at his fingers, which have been shucked dry of life force. He thought, what is determination? Leping pick up his card and laughs because it's too late for Burs and Evil. Burs and Evil were scared to see Leping smile like that. Elizabeth was also scared because it's not good. Such an ominous premonition is really bad. Leping picked 2 cards and slam on the ground. His 2 cards were clown. Suddenly a crack appeared in the space. Evil and Burs were shocked to see it. From that crack, a hand which looked like Clown's hand comes out. Next Clown himself comes out of the crack and smile at scared Evil and Burs. Elizabeth was surprised to see that Clown. She want to ask Leping what this summoned is. That Clown is Supreme King. Level 3 Star Demon God. Both Evil and Burrs were shaking in fear when that clown looks at them and smile. Clown extended his hand towards them. But clown stop before touching them and make a beats love sign. He is a clown. So he was just scaring Evil and Burrs. But that clown felt Elizabeth's presence there. He looks at Elizabeth and laughs. He asks her what is she peeking at. He summons a knife in his hand. And while licking that knife he warned Elizabeth to be careful. He will kill her. Elizabeth was angry. She asked Clown that do he know who is he looking down on. Elizabeth used her power to stop Clown. Elizabeth was scared, thinking that during this period of time, she put down her dignity and accepted feeding. She finally reached the 3-star demon god level. But Leping could summon 3-star demon god casually. Evil was all exhausted and scared. Burrs said sorry to Evil because there's nothing he can do. She told her father that how can she blame himself? It's all her fault for irritating Leping. Suddenly Burrs started vomiting blood. His life force is losing like crazy. His body don't have enough energy to let him sit properly. Burrs put down the cards and get himself together. Leping was surprised to see him. He asked Burrs if he is okay. It looked like to Leping that Burrs' injury hasn't healed yet, so he is vomiting blood. But something else attracted Leping. He looks at Burrs' cards. Leping thought that with Burrs' cards, he could have won a long time ago. It turned out that Burrs was just letting Leping play with him. Leping was ignorant and thought that he was very powerful. In fact, Leping was disturbing other people's rest. Leping mix up all the cards, and just as he do that 3-star demon god disappear with it. Leping collected all the cards and told Burrs that he had lots of fun. He asked Burrs to now go to bed early. Leping left in disappointment. Burrs and Evil finally relaxed. Burrs said that the legendary brave man is really unpredictable. Evil couldn't believe that they are still alive. Elizabeth was very angry. She said, "It's outrageous. Playing cards with these two humans is a lie." Leping just took the opportunity to beat up Elizabeth. Then the next day, Burrs and Evil were ready to leave. When they were standing in front of the Leping's house to say bye, Leping asked Burrs if he really not want to stay for 2 more days. The fruits Leping planted are about to be harvested. Burrs greets Leping and told him that they can't disturb Elizabeth and Leping anymore. Leping was so kind that they, daughter and father, will never forget him. Leping get nervous to see a big man greets him like that. He said, "It's okay," and told Burrs to don't say it too seriously. Burrs told Leping to don't worry. They won't talk nonsense after they go out. Evil thanked Leping because Leping give them a precious gift. Leping told her that it's not a bug deal, it's just ordinary barley tea, so don't dislike it. Leping suddenly grabbed Burrs' hand. He told Burrs that he have this as a souvenir for Burrs. What Leping give him was those cards from previous night. Burrs was surprised to get those cards. Leping told Burrs to take it because his poker skills are so bad that he is not suitable at all. Leping was crying while saying that Elizabeth also comes there. Burrs was too shocked and scared to see her. She moved her mouth and without saying anything she told both Evil and Burrs to hurry up and get the hell out of this place. When Elizabeth said that both of them runs away as fast as they can, Leping was not even able to say goodbye to them. He was confused that why are they running away too fast? When they left, Elizabeth goes back in house. She said now, everything is back to normal. She asked Leping to go cook for her. On the other hand, Burrs runs too fast with Evil. Evil was about to vomit. She asked her father to please stop. Then Burrs stopped. He was all exhausted and scared. He was scared because first there was the game test of the legendary brave, and then there was the threat of the Demon King. Last night when Leping left them, Elizabeth comes to them. Elizabeth strike at them with her bare hands, but Evil and Burrs felt like their heads have been cut off. Both of them grabbed their neck to check if was that a dream. What Elizabeth did don't kill them, but left some kind of ancient text on their neck. Elizabeth ordered them to leave here immediately tomorrow, and not to reveal any news about her and the legendary brave anywhere. Scared Burrs and Evil could only nod yes. Elizabeth looks at them angrily and told them that if they have any idea that goes against her will, the curse mark on their neck will make them fall to the ground immediately. Burrs said to Evil that the truth of history is that the Demon Queen, who ruled the world, and Leping the legendary hero, were tired of the strife in the world and didn't want to be disturbed anymore. While walking, Evil looks around and told her dad that this place looks a bit familiar. Burrs looks around and in shock asks Evil that, have he run this far? Wongsai was looking at the from far. He sent Evil and Burrs back here so they won't bother his master and that fierce woman Elizabeth anymore. It was not Burrs who run that fast. In actual situation, Wongsai took them that fast, using his rocket without their knowing. This was the same place where Wang Kai saved Burrs and Evil before. The bodies of the Dark Guild apostles was still there. Burrs told Evil that there should be various high-level monsters appearing nearby, so they should better leave as soon as possible. Suddenly Wang Kai detects that something is approaching, but Wang Kai thought, who cares? Last time he get beaten up by that fierce woman, he is not going to do it again. He goes inside a teleportation portal and disappear. Suddenly in front of Evil and Burrs, something appeared. One of them were flying in air and others were standing of the ground. The one who was flying in air make Jin Jin sound and looks too. Fears. Others who were with him look same as those Dark Apostle. Burrs was shocked to see, because that's the Great Apostle. Evil was scared to hear the Great Apostle name that monster which is flying in air is Dark Guild's Great Apostle. Level 2 star Great Demon Spirit. Others are Dark Guild's Apostle. Level 2 star to 4 star Devil. Magic Strength. Level reference start with Magician, then Great Magician, Demon Spirit, Great Demon Spirit, Demon Sect level, Demon Lord level, Demon King level, Demon God level. Magic Strength level can be used as one of the reference standards for strength. Burr's profession is hero. Level 3 star Great Magician. Evil thought that the difference in strength is too big, so she asked her father to just let her leave with Apostle. She asked her dad to get out of here. Evil herself is Archer, level 1, star Great Magician. Burrs said yes. The difference in strength is indeed huge, but after seeing the realm of the legendary hero and the demon queen, these apostles are nothing. Burrs remember Leping telling him that the most important thing in playing cards is determination. Burrs take out the cards Leping give him and shouted that he was also a brave man called Iron Gumbos. The energy that come out form those cards were too powerful that even the Great Apostle feels pressured. Burrs told Evil that, ever since her mom returned to the elf tribe, he has taken Evil alone and become timid. But he was wrong. Running away won't solve the problem. If they can get through this time, he will take Evil to the elf tribe and bring her mother back for a family reunion. Just like his father, and he pursued Evil's mother alone. 4 cards of 4 come out of those card and card summon magic was used. And with the explosion of spiritual energy, the Arrow God Eves. Arrow God looks just like Evil's mom. Burrs asked Arrow God to play the cards. Spiritual energy that was coming out of Arrow God turned into a bow and arrow. Arrow God aims and shoot at thy's apostle. Arrow goes while destroying the ground and hit the apostle on the face. Then the second and then third after killing all the devil level apostle. That arrow goes towards Great Apostle, but that apostle grabbed the arrow with one hand. He thought he could handle the magic arrows, but he immediately realized the power. Now he used both of his hand to stop the arrow. But that arrow killed that Great Apostle by destroying its head. Then all the cards returns in their place, and the Arrow God also return into nature. Burrs fall on the ground. After exhausting himself, he said, it seems he need to change his job. Burrs was thinking that fortunately, in the end, he finally understood the tips Leping gave him. Determination is the real key element to bring out the strength of the cards. Since then, a new profession. Card Master has been born in the brave continent. Burrs and Evil were still shocked to see the destruction power of those cards. A week later, Lin Ping was eating watermelon in his garden. Lin said the magical world is so amazing, and my hybrid fruit breeding method has been very successful. But without anyone to share it, the joy of the harvest always feels like it's missing something. In this world, there are various races including demons, warriors, and elves. Lin said, I originally thought that I was satisfied with peaceful farming. However, when I had everything and came into contact with the outside world, my heart began to grow restless, and I wanted to explore it. People are like this. They get one thing and want two. But Lin felt so weak that he decided to forget about it. Suddenly, a smoke emerged out of nowhere. It was Elizabeth. While drinking orange juice, she asked, What's on your mind, Lin? Lin replied, I wanted to go out and see something, but forget it because I'm too weak. Elizabeth smiled and said, So you're finally eager to leave this place? She asked Lin to come with her for a trip. Elizabeth thought that the outside world was incomparable to Lin, but it looked like to Elizabeth that Lin's attitude was too arrogant. Lin got really excited and asked Elizabeth if it's really okay with her. Lin thought it's a different story. If I have the protection of the Demon Queen. Elizabeth responded with an attitude, Stop talking nonsense, change your clothes. After changing their clothes, Elizabeth complimented Lin on his cooking and sewing skills, saying that they were very impressive. Lin replied, These are my specialties. The robot dog also wanted to go with them. Elizabeth twisted his finger, and a magical door appeared in front of them. Elizabeth explained that they would use this transfer door to reach the nearest town. Lin was really surprised by Elizabeth's skills. As Elizabeth walked toward the gate, Lin asked him a few questions. Lin Ping said that after they go out, Elizabeth shouldn't leave him alone no matter what. He also emphasized that Elizabeth had to keep her emotions stable and act low-key. Lin just requested to her. But it looks to Elizabeth that Lin is giving her a warning. Without Lin's permission, Elizabeth couldn't leave and she can't use magic recklessly, as it would ruin the fun of experiencing ordinary people. Elizabeth was really angry with Lin, but she managed to control her anger and told Lin that she understood. Lin asked Elizabeth that, after seeing the changes outside, will she come back with him? Lin was concerned that without the protection barrier of the novice village, he would become the food of the demon beasts in minutes. Elizabeth replied, "Of course." She thought that until I've officially defeated you, the evil hero, the outside world means nothing to me. Lin was really happy, but Elizabeth added that he had to agree to one request from her. Lin felt nervous and didn't know what request Elizabeth had in mind. Elizabeth came close to Lin and said, "When we return, I want you to make me a super deluxe assorted fruit pudding." Lin was shocked and thought, "Just pudding?" Elizabeth asked if there was a problem. Lin assured Elizabeth that he didn't have any problem with making pudding for her when they returned. He said, "Let's go." The robot dog was left behind and felt really sad. After traveling through the portal gate, Lin Ping was pleasantly surprised to see a beautiful city after so long. The city is named Boaster Town, where humans and monsters coexist without any problems. After seeing this, Lin Ping exclaimed, "This place is amazing. It's like stepping into another world." Elizabeth also observed the city after a long time. Lin asked Elizabeth to check out an equipment shop. He noticed they were selling ingredients, but he wondered, isn't this just regular pork? Lin Ping was genuinely excited about visiting the outside world after a long time. Elizabeth remarked, 500 years have passed and the changes in the outside world don't seem that significant. Lin Ping agreed, adding, "It doesn't seem as chaotic as Uncle Bess said." Elizabeth smiled and explained, "That's because I established a strong foundation during my rule. In the original world, various forces were in conflict, and the situation was chaotic. Elizabeth used her absolute strength to suppress them all and establish a set of rules where everyone is equal. So, the one who really saved the world was Elizabeth, not Lin, the so-called legendary hero." Elizabeth was really angry because Lin escaped without hearing her words. She said, "Lin is nonsense. He didn't even acknowledge my past achievements." Lin visited a small stall where a little girl was selling cute bunny dolls. After closely examining the bunny dolls, Lin commented, "So delicate, the stitching details are very well done." He asked the little girl if she made them, and the little girl replied that she was the one who made these dolls. She asked Lin if he liked them, she could offer them to him at a lower price. Suddenly a voice came out from nowhere and exclaimed, "Who gave you permission to set up a stall here? He's Demon Pig." Demon Pig kicked over the little girl's stall and seized her hand, proclaiming, "Her church owes their gang protection money and hasn't paid it yet. How dare she set up a stall in their place?" Annie's younger siblings were scared and pleaded with Demon Pig to spare their sister. Demon Pig lifted the little girl into the air. She defiantly retorted, "You never protected us. Why should we pay you protection money?" Demon Pig laughed and responded, "You're an idiot. Since last month, this street has fallen under the territory of our beast gang. If you want to survive here, you must provide monthly tributes." However, the little girl remained unconvinced and boldly declared, "That's not true. The church belongs to the nun. When the nun comes back, you'll be in trouble." Demon Pig scoffed, saying, "You're clueless. You don't understand the situation at all, do you? Fine. I'll drive you orphans away today and tear down that broken church." Lin Ping watched everything unfold from the sidelines, growing increasingly angry. He implored Demon Pig to stop. Demon Pig, with cold eyes, retorted, "What the hell do you want to do?" Lin was really scared, not knowing what to say. Elizabeth stood by, pondering. Does Lin Ping want to toy with these ordinary people again? Lin then asked Elizabeth for help in this situation, but Elizabeth turned her head away and told Lin that she didn't want to help. Lin should solve his own problem. Demon Pig grew increasingly angry with Lin Ping and asked about his intentions. Lin Ping was genuinely scared, feeling helpless as Elizabeth offered no assistance. Suddenly, he had a great idea and shouted, "Everyone, this pig-headed man is bullying a little girl. Come and condemn him." However, everyone ignored Lin Ping and did not want to get involved in the matter. Demon Pig laughed and remarked, "You don't really think anyone will come out to help you, do you? Everyone on this street knows our beast gang." Demon Pig looked at Lin and remarked, "Look at your clothes. You're a foreigner from the south, right? The girl next to you isn't bad," Lin suggested. "Let's talk things over. I have some local specialties in my backpack. I can share them with all of you." However, Demon Pig declined and ordered his men to beat up Lin and take the woman back to their gang to lock her up. Elizabeth became really angry and asked Demon Pig, "Do you really think anyone is qualified to imprison me? You've really stepped on the tiger's tail." Suddenly the weather changed and lightning appeared in the sky, frightening everyone. They all gazed at the sky in confusion, and Demon Pig's whole body shook. He asked, "Why did the weather suddenly change like that?" As everyone continued to watch the sky, Lin urged Elizabeth not to take any drastic action, emphasizing that it might destroy the whole town. He asked Elizabeth to calm down and explained that they should just scare them. She wouldn't actually fight ordinary people like this, would she? Elizabeth assured Lin that she would spare them this time because of Lin's request. The little girl noticed Elizabeth's powerful magic and thought, "That sister's magic is so powerful." The sky returned to normal, and the rain began. Demon Pig remained bewildered by what had just occurred. Demon Pig's body is shaking with fear. He questions Elizabeth and Lin about their reasons for supporting the church orphans. He's perplexed by a sudden sense of nervousness when facing them. Lin, realizing negotiations might not work, proposes a deal to Demon Pig. He suggests paying for protection, asking how much money Demon Pig wants. Demon Pig, eager for an opportunity, nervously quotes 10 gold coins for 2 months. Elizabeth, also hearing their conversation from the sidelines, laughs and says, "A mere 10 gold coins, making a big fuss. Utterly foolish." Lin gets really surprised. He comes close to Elizabeth and asks, "By the way, Elizabeth, you must have a lot of gold coins, right?" Elizabeth gets really happy after Lin praises him. He says she has so many treasures that she can't count them all. After hearing this, Lin gets really surprised. He said, "Elizabeth, how about lending me some? I'll sell the vegetables from my home and pay you back later." However, Elizabeth is not happy with Lin Ping's idea. She doesn't want him to sell his precious vegetables for just mere 10 gold coins. She says Lin Ping is an idiot, asking to use his food to exchange for those useless things. That won't do. Besides, she didn't bring any gold coins when she came to find Lin. After hearing that, Lin hits his head on the ground, getting really surprised. He doesn't know what's going to happen to him. Demon Pig asks Lin and Elizabeth if they're going to pay the money or not. Lin is really nervous. He scratches his head with his hand and says he doesn't have any gold coins. He asks if he can use the local products in his bag to make up for it. Demon Pig gets really angry. He asks Lin and Elizabeth that if they are playing with him, he won't listen to their nonsense anymore. He orders his men to kill Lin Ping and capture Elizabeth. Suddenly, a pouch filled with gold coins comes out of nowhere and hits Demon Pig in the face. Demon Pig is really angry. He asks who threw this bag on my face and threatens to kill them. However, he notices something shiny in the pouch. After closely looking at the pouch, he sees it's filled with gold coins and gets really surprised. Then we see a man. His half body is human and the other half is a horse. He asks Demon Pig to stop harassing his friend and leave as soon as he gets the money. His name is Hawthorne Therius. After seeing him, Demon Pig says it turns out he's from the Sword Saint Guild, Thunder Sea Buckthorn. After realizing that he is a really powerful and famous adventurer, Demon Pig says he will give him some face. After getting the money, Demon Pig says to his men to, "Let's go." But before he goes, he gives a warning to the little girl that she won't be this lucky next month. After Demon Pig leaves, Lin Ping helps the little girl. The little girl thanks Lin Ping for helping her in this situation when no one else wanted to. Lin Ping is really happy. After seeing that she is okay, Lin Ping also thanks the adventurer for helping them and offers some fruits. With a humble smile, Thunder said, "You don't need to worry, it's a trivial matter." He turns to Elizabeth and says, "If you're willing, I'd like you to partner with me on something." The little girl adjusts his glasses and asks, "What do you mean, partner? What can we help you with?" He says with a suspicious smile. Let's go somewhere else to talk. If this works out, I think it can also solve your financial problems. Elizabeth folds his hands and says that she is not interested, asking Lin to go. Lin begs Elizabeth not to leave, emphasizing that he just helped them out. Let's at least see what they have to say, little girl. Younger siblings, asks her sister Annie. Are you going out? They are worried about their sister because if she gets in trouble again. Little girl Annie assures them that they don't have to worry, she will be safe. She asks them to go back to the church first, she'll be back soon. When they are about to enter the pub, Horseman said, once you enter the tavern, stay close to him. You don't know what will happen. When they enter the pub, everyone stares at Elizabeth and Lin Ping. One of the men asks Elizabeth, hey babe, the men around you look like trash. Want to come over here instead? Lin and little girl know that if they do this, Elizabeth will kill everyone here. After hearing this, Elizabeth's eyes are glowing red. She is really angry and releases his killing intent, asking that man to say that again. After seeing Elizabeth's killing intent, the man who commented on Elizabeth gets really scared. Their whole bodies are shaking with fear. Elizabeth turns her head to Lin and says that it's all his fault for insisting on coming to this lousy place and wasting her time. Elizabeth is really angry at Lin. Lin is nervous and said to Elizabeth that they're already here, so why don't they go in? Horseman asks them to go into the private room. There won't be any outsiders to bother them. Horseman opens the door and said, I am back. Then we see a bunch of cute girls surrounding the Horseman. They say, Master, you're finally back. We were so worried about you. We wanted to go out and look for you. Please take us with you next time. Horseman turns his head to Lin and says that he forgot to mention he has a few wives here too. After seeing this, Lin gets really surprised. He doesn't have any words to say. He asks him, you have 4 wives. Horseman starts pouring tea for everyone and introduced his wives to them. First of all, this one next to me is Gusha. Her profession is a shield warrior. Then there's the assassin Lolo, and there's Glee, a mage. And lastly, there's Galia. She's an amazing elven archer. After seeing someone from the elf race, he says he met a girl with elf bloodline a while ago. Elizabeth asks Horseman to stop with the small talk. It's a waste of time. They need to leave. One of the girls says to Horseman about Elizabeth, what's the deal with this woman? Her attitude is really annoying. Elizabeth is really angry. She says this is how this queen is. Do you have any opinions? The cat girl said it's really funny she even calls herself a queen. She asks her master if this woman's brain is okay. The elf girl looks at Elizabeth and said, after looking at the shape of her ears, she's probably a lowly half-breed with a bit of elven blood. What's she doing in front of me? After hearing this, Elizabeth gets really angry. He said to the elf girl that, if she insists on bringing destruction upon herself, then don't blame this queen. If he gets killed, after hearing this, Lin Ping knows that if he doesn't claim Elizabeth, there will be a disaster. Lin gets the pudding from his bag and gives it to Elizabeth. When Elizabeth saw the pudding in Lin's hands, his anger is gone, and he gets really happy. After seeing Elizabeth's happy face, Lin feels relieved and said, luckily I was prepared. After Elizabeth gets claimed, Lin Ping starts his conversation with the horseman. He said, actually we come from a very distant and nameless tribe to travel here. Elizabeth is the princess of that tribe, and I am her servant Lin Ping. After hearing Lin Ping's words, the cat girl says, no wonder her behavior and manners are so strange. She is a tribal princess who has never seen the world. Another girl also comments, her name is Elizabeth, right? She's from that uncivilized tribe that worships the demon queen in the demon realm, huh? That's why her behavior is rude and she is uncivilized. Lin puts his finger on his lips and asks for silence. He also explains that it's Elizabeth's first time out, and she's still adapting to the cultural differences. Lin Ping thinks this explanation should make sense, hoping they won't ask any more questions about Elizabeth. The horseman claims everyone and asks them to get back to business. He expresses his desire to invite Elizabeth and Lin to join his team in exploring a dungeon for treasure. However, the horseman is uncertain about the terrifying demonic power emanating from Elizabeth earlier, wondering if she might be from the demon race. Lin then asks the horseman about the treasure dungeon, seeking a more detailed explanation. He also turns to the little girl Annie, asking if she knows what a treasure dungeon is. Annie answers Lin's question and explains that treasure dungeons are said to be magical spaces set up by ancient powerful beings to hide valuable things. These dungeons are usually well hidden and very dangerous places. After hearing Annie's explanation, Lin gets an idea of what the treasure dungeons look like. The horseman mentions that he also spent a lot of effort to get news of this treasure dungeon. However, the condition to open the barrier is that the number of people has to reach 8. If there aren't enough people, they can't enter the dungeon. Lin said, "Oh, that's why you were looking for us to make up the numbers." Little girl Annie starts counting to see how many people they are. After she finishes, she starts crying because she is the 8th member of this party. She asks the horseman with a crying face if she cannot go with them. Lou is really confused after seeing Annie. He asks her, "What's wrong? Treasure dungeons seem to be precious. Shouldn't he be happy to go?" Elizabeth doesn't pay any attention to them. She is eating her pudding without any worry. Little girl Annie turns her head to Lin's side and says, "Brother Lin, you don't know. Treasure dungeons are usually very difficult, and she is just a mere 4-star magician. If she goes, she will probably die." Lin scratches his head and tells Annie that he doesn't know much about magic levels in this world. The horseman reassures Lin, saying they just needs to help him meet the number of people condition. The battle inside will be left to them. The treasure he'll get in the end will not be less than theirs, estimating at least a few tens of thousands of gold coins. One of the horseman's wives mentions that their master single-handedly repelled several dark apostles who wanted to take Gilead a few days ago, demonstrating his strength. Little girl Annie gets really happy hearing this, realizing they can get tens of thousands of gold coins from the dungeon. With that amount of money, they can solve the church's financial problems without any issues. Lin asks Elizabeth to help them make up the numbers to solve their financial problems. Elizabeth, while eating her pudding, doesn't pay attention to Lin's words and says, "Fine, I don't have any problem. Please don't bother the queen from enjoying the delicious pudding." After convincing them, the horseman asks one of his wives to get the crystal ball. She takes the crystal ball from his bag and places it on the table. Lin is really surprised after seeing this crystal ball, not knowing its purpose. The horseman explains that he will show Leping how to use it. Placing his hand on the crystal ball, a bright light comes out, and he says it's Glee's magic measurements crystal ball. Putting their hand on it will measure their magic level. He takes his hand off the crystal ball, and his magic level shows on the crystal ball, registering at 8,769. After seeing this, Lin and little girl Annie are surprised. Lin asks if this is Glee's magic measurements crystal ball, and they just need to put their hand on it to measure their magic level. It turns out to be a crystal ball that visualizes magic levels into numbers, and 8,769 should be at the demon spirit level. The horseman also reveals that his magic level is at 4-star demon spirit, and his wives are all 4 or 5-star grand mages. Since they are going to team up, they should know each other well and cooperate better. After hearing the horseman's words, little girl Annie places her hand on the crystal ball, and it shows Annie's magic level, which is 300. One of the horseman's wives remarks that she had more than Annie's value when she first changed her job. Annie is really disappointed, hearing cruel words from the horseman's wife, and starts crying. She apologizes to the horseman's wife, saying that her magic level just won't go up, she's just an average girl. On the other hand, Lin gets really excited after seeing the magic crystal demo. He says, "Let me try it too," knowing that he hasn't learned magic in these years, but as the legendary hero, his potential shouldn't be low either. With full excitement, Leping places his hand on the magic crystal. However, there is no immediate reaction from the crystal ball. Suddenly, a number shows on the crystal ball, indicating that Lin's magic level is 0. After seeing that, the horseman gets really confused. He doesn't know what happened. He has never seen something like that before. He says that even a pure martial arts user wouldn't have a magic level of 0. Lin places his hand on his forehead and explains that someone like him, who has been farming all his life, wouldn't have magic. He sits down on his chair and whispers that he's doomed to have no magic in this life because he never learned more about magic and swordsmanship. He has just been doing farming work all the time. The cat girl is really disappointed after seeing Lin's magic level. She asks him what he can do, stating that he seems to be of no help at all, just a dead weight to the team. After hearing these harsh words, Lin responds that he is good at something, farming. He mentions that he recently harvested some fruit they can try. The horsemen's wives express their disappointment, making fun of Lin. One of the girls comments that he's a typical bumpkin from a remote area and suggests keeping the fruit for themselves. They don't think they need him. The cat girl wonders if Lin is really just an ordinary servant because he doesn't look like one. The horseman calms everyone down and said, "Princess Elizabeth, you should also try it. Everyone wants to know what your magic level is. However, Elizabeth doesn't listen to the horseman's words. Lin convinces Elizabeth to cooperate with them. Upon hearing this, Elizabeth gets annoyed and says they want the queen to accompany them to play with these ignorant mortals. She places her hand on the crystal ball, and suddenly, a bright light comes out of the crystal ball, becoming so intense that no one can see what's happening. Everyone closes their eyes due to the intense light. Lin is really scared. He thought if Elizabeth's identity as the Demon Queen is exposed, it will definitely cause a great uproar. He asked Elizabeth to control her magic level so they will not reveal Elizabeth's true identity. Elizabeth replies that she knows what she's doing. She will not reveal her true power. Elizabeth thought it's rare to come out, so she'll play with Lin. She controls her power, and everyone is really surprised at what's happening. After some time, the crystal ball starts showing Elizabeth's magic level. Her level is 8,000. After seeing this, little girl Annie says to everyone that Big Sis, Elizabeth's level is just like Horse Brothers. It's a demon spirit level of strength. After seeing Elizabeth's magic level, the horsemen's wives are really surprised. They don't understand how this pumpkin girl's level is similar to their husbands. One of the girls says, "No way. Is this woman also a 4-star demon spirit?" Lin is relieved after seeing that Elizabeth has control over her magic power level. On the other hand, the horseman says that Elizabeth is truly amazing, worthy of being the princess of the kingdom. With her joining, their chances of getting the treasure will greatly increase. Little girl Annie asks the horseman how they can go to that treasure dungeon. Lin also thinks that this is his second time going out and he encountered such a good thing. He can learn from them. The horseman asks one of his wives to tell them how they will go to the treasure dungeon. His wife says okay and retrieves a scroll from her bag. She throws the scroll in the air and it starts glowing. This is a teleportation scroll. With this, they can teleport directly to the treasure dungeon. After using the teleportation scroll, they teleport into the dungeon. After seeing this, Lin is really surprised. He says that he is dizzy from the teleportation. Little girl Annie gets scared after seeing an unknown aura from the dungeon. But Elizabeth does not give a care about the dungeon. She's already faced more dangerous things than this dungeon. The horsemen come everyone and said, "Let's not delay, let's go into the treasure dungeon." After seeing this, Elizabeth says that she doesn't want to go and asks Lin to "let's go home." Upon hearing these words from Elizabeth, the horseman and his wives are really surprised. One of the girls asks Elizabeth, what is she playing at? She came here and changed her mind at the last minute. Is she messing with them? Another two also ask if does she know how many crystals and magic power it takes to make that teleportation scroll. If she doesn't go in, don't think about leaving here either. After hearing this, Elizabeth gets angry and asks them if they have the power. Why don't they try to stop her? Lin comes forward and asks everyone to, don't be impulsive, and listen to him for a moment. Lin has an idea. And in the next moment, he starts begging Elizabeth saying that since she came here, so just take in Lin to see it. Annie asks Elizabeth if she also notice, inside the cave, there is a magic power that is very similar to Elizabeth. After hearing Annie's words, Lin thought, a magic power that is very similar to Elizabeth's? What does she mean? He doesn't get what Annie is actually saying. The horseman comes forward, pushes Leping, and asks Elizabeth that she has to trust him. No matter what danger she encounters inside, he will protect her. He said, please go in with me, Princess Elizabeth. Elizabeth doesn't care about him. She asks Lin to follow her, mentioning that she'll play with him since he rarely comes out. Lin starts following Elizabeth without saying a word. After seeing this, the horseman grits his teeth in frustration. They start entering the dungeon one by one. Annie is really surprised after entering the dungeon for the first time. Once inside, Lin notices the dungeon barrier closing. He asks if they can't go back the way they came. Elizabeth explains that in this special magic space, it's impossible to leave by transfer magic unless they are stronger than the person who set up the barrier. Unless they find the target location and meet the requirements of the barrier setter, none of them can leave. After some time, they reach the main entrance of the dungeon. One of the girls says that as long as they have the master horseman with them, they will definitely get that thing. Another girl whispers, questioning what they will do if they know about that thing. Annie overhears their conversation and asks Sister Gelia what they mean by that thing. Elf girl Gelia ignores Annie's question and mentions that it's gold coins and treasure. She reassures Annie that they won't be left out. On the other hand, Leping asks about the forks in front of them and wonders where they should go. With Elizabeth backing them up, Leping thinks it's no problem. The adventure officially begins. The cat girl asks the horsemen which way they should go, and if they need to split up. The horseman says they don't have to split up for the time being and asks one of the girls to use that move. The pink-haired girl agrees, and uses her magic wand to find the right route to the treasure. She tells Elizabeth that she'll find the shortest route to the treasure in no time. Elizabeth smiles and remarks that she is just ignorant and doesn't know how big the world is. After some time, the pink-haired girl shows that there are many treasure boxes. But she also reveals that there are monsters in this dungeon, and all the monsters are at the boss level. After finding that much, her mana drains out, and she can't explore more. After some time, the horseman asks the pink-haired girl about the situation in the maze and if she explored it till the end. The pink-haired girl replies that this maze seems to have no end. She has extended her magic to the limit and has not found any trace of the edge. After hearing this, other two girls are really surprised. They say, "No way. Glee's magic extension concentrated distance is 3 kilometers long. They suggest using spirit divination, but it has an accuracy rate of only 34%. However, they're not 100% sure. The cat girl suggests splitting up and acting in groups, with the ability to use the clone technique for support. Lin turns his head to Elizabeth and asks, "Elizabeth, do you actually know how to go, right?" Elizabeth smiles and says, "Of course, this maze is just an illusion. These ignorant youngsters will never get out if they want to explore the end." Then Lin asks her, why doesn't she lend a hand? They can also repay them a favor as soon as possible. Elizabeth nods her head and says no. She tells Lin that she has changed her mind now. She just wants to watch them perish with him. After some time, we see many tunnels, and one of them is the right tunnel. If they find the right direction, they can reach the treasure without any problems. Little girl Annie suggests that by going through the third cave, they should be able to reach the destination. After hearing Annie's words, Lin gets really excited and asks how she knew that. Little girl Annie says that she's just guessing. She doesn't know the correct tunnel. She also mentions that a special magic is coming from that direction. The pink-haired girl says to Annie that she's speaking nonsense and questions why she didn't feel the magic Annie mentioned. She insults her and says a mere 4-star mage should not make random comments here. After hearing the cold words from the pink-haired girl, Annie gets scared and asks for forgiveness. The pink-haired girl says that they haven't explored the bottom, and according to known exploration, the last passage has the least monsters. She said, "Master, we should go this way." After hearing the pink-haired girl's words, the horseman asks the cat girl what she thinks. She says that she still thinks it's better to act in small teams so they can explore faster. Another girl says that she thinks it's better to listen to Glee, the pink-haired girl. Even if they go wrong in the end, they can just go back together. The pink-haired girl asks the horseman to trust her. She will scout them safely to the treasure. The horseman thought about it and said they'd act together in the last cave. After hearing the horseman's words, Annie shouted loudly, saying they could go anywhere else but not the last cave. She started casting her puppet magic and summoned a cute little rabbit doll. She asked her rabbit doll to go to the last tunnel, and in the next moment, a huge monster came out from the tunnel and ate the rabbit doll, leaving only its head. After witnessing this horrible scene, Lin's whole body was shaking with fear. He asked everyone, "What is that thing?" Elizabeth replied, "That is a parasitic beast, usually found in the bodies of huge monsters." The cat girl asked the pink-haired girl if the explored area was the corpse in its stomach. After that, the pink-haired girl was really angry at Annie because she exposed her. After some time, Elizabeth said to let them struggle here by themselves and asked Lin to go. Lin scratched his head and asked Elizabeth if it would be best if she could lead the way. They don't know what danger is waiting for them, and Elizabeth and Lin started heading to the tunnel. Little girl Annie asked them if that direction is right and asked them to wait for her. In the next moment, the cat girl asked his master, the horseman, if she should use a clone to follow them and collect information. The horseman told the cat girl that they don't need to. He thought that Elizabeth, having seen the horror of the mimic worm, wouldn't be able to make such a calm choice without confidence. It seems that Elizabeth's background is not so simple. The horseman told his wives that they would go and follow them for the time being, and they started following Elizabeth. On the other side, deep in the dungeon, we saw a huge glowing monster eye. Monsters start attacking on the them. They begin fighting with the monster. The horseman asks his wife if they have solved it there. The warrior girl says that they have killed all remaining monsters, but the monsters on this road keep coming in waves, and they never stop. On the other side, Leping and little girl Annie are hiding behind Elizabeth. Leping asks Elizabeth if it's safe now, and if there are any monsters remaining. Elizabeth turns her head to Lin, visibly angry, and tells him that he is a truly terrible actor. The pink-haired girl says to Annie that it's all her fault, pointing out the road she led them to, which is full of monsters along the way. She also mentions that if they had taken her advice, they would have already found the treasure. Elizabeth defends little Annie, saying to the pink-haired girl that the more concentrated the magic, the more monsters naturally gather. She emphasizes that the pink-haired girl should know this as a mage. After hearing this from Elizabeth, the pink-haired girl gets really frustrated. She says that she knows that Elizabeth is a 4-star demon spirit with the ability to defeat the monsters, but she stands by and watches coldly. She also claims that Elizabeth is despicable and doesn't care about anyone. Elizabeth replies that this is their problem and what they agreed upon before leaving, to solve the monsters they encounter. The horseman steps forward and asks the pink-haired girl to calm down, reminding her that they promised to protect them. Hearing this, the pink-haired girl gets even angrier. The horseman turns his head to Elizabeth and says with a nice smile that it's okay. It's his honor to escort Miss Elizabeth. After hearing their conversation, the pink-haired girl is really angry, thinking that Elizabeth not only embarrassed her, but also dared to seduce the master. The elf girl suggests to the horseman that they rest for a while, emphasizing the need to recover their energy after fighting with monsters for so long. Elizabeth doesn't agree with their idea, stating that she doesn't have extra time to waste on them. The cat girl is frustrated with Elizabeth, asking why, if she's so good, she doesn't just go on by herself. The elf girl agrees, pointing out that if it weren't for them blocking all kinds of monsters, they wouldn't be so relaxed. The horseman steps forward and urges Elizabeth to listen, suggesting that it's better for everyone to rest and recover some energy. He offers some elf potion, explaining that after drinking it, they can recover their status. Lin, curious about the potion, asks Elizabeth if he can try it, making a cute little puppy face and suggesting it might give him some new inspiration for his cooking. Elizabeth thinks that Lin has already enjoyed many good things and wants to experience something ordinary. She gives him permission, and later, they set up their camp to get some rest. The pink-haired girl praises Gelia's elf potion, mentioning that it really works, and the warrior girl states that she has finally recovered, though she's unsure how long it will take to find the treasure. The elf girl retrieves a potion from her storage ring and offers it to Elizabeth, calling it her special elf potion that enhances various states. Elizabeth, being powerful, declines, but the horseman intervenes, telling the elf girl not to be rude and instructing her to give a potion to everyone. Unhappily, she tosses a potion to Elizabeth, who catches it but isn't pleased. Elizabeth gives the potion to Lin, who after tasting it, finds the grassy flavor too strong and decides not to drink it. He offers it to Annie, who thanks him but explains that she hasn't used much magic power so she doesn't need it. After hearing Lin's criticism of his potion, the elf girl expresses displeasure, deeming it a waste on someone with no magic power. Elizabeth, not pleased with the elf girl's words, dumps the potion into the fire, further infuriating her. She questions Elizabeth about dumping her elf potion, to which Elizabeth coldly responds that she agrees with the elf girl's thoughts, showing no regard for the potions. Lin intervenes, calming everyone down and stating that he has something for everyone that shouldn't be crushed. He retrieves bananas from his bag, expressing his desire to share them. Lin gives a banana to the horseman and distributes bananas to everyone. Finally, he gives an apple to Annie, mentioning that the bananas have all been divided and asking if she can eat an apple. Annie gets emotional after receiving the apple. She asks if he's really giving it to her, surprising Lin, who thought it was just an apple, and sees no need for tears. Annie asks Lin if she can take the apple back to her brother and sister. The orphans in the orphanage haven't eaten fresh fruit for a long time. After hearing Annie's story, Lin understands why she is crying. He tells her that, of course, she can take it back, and he'll pick some more for her when he gets home to send over. Lin promises Annie that everyone in the orphanage can eat fresh fruit. The pink-haired girl throws the banana that Leping gave her, saying she doesn't care about this rotten fruit and doesn't need it. The elf girl also agrees, stating that it can't be compared with her elf potion. The horseman suggests they fill their stomachs for now, and when they get the treasure, he'll treat them to something good. They start eating bananas, and after the first bite, they feel something strange. Their bodies start glowing, and in the next moment, they find themselves in the forest. They ask what place it is, and suddenly, 3 mantises appear and start singing. They ask the group to dance with them, and all 3 of them start dancing. Lin is confused, not knowing what they are doing. This is the effect of the banana. The pink-haired girl and elf girl, who didn't eat the banana, are really surprised. The elf girl asks the horseman what he's doing. In the next moment after eating bananas, the horseman and his wives level up, and they don't understand what's going on. Their magic levels are constantly rising. After seeing their dance performance, Lin is surprised. He claps and calls it a bonfire performance, expressing his genuine liking for it. Lin also mentions that the cultural customs of the other world are really interesting, making it worth coming out to see centaurs dancing. Elizabeth, observing Lin's happiness, thinks that Lin is aware of the potential danger ahead, enhanced them in advance to continue this game. On the other hand, the elf girl, who didn't eat the banana, is puzzled and asks what's going on. She wonders how their magic levels suddenly skyrocketed so much. Seeing their surprise, Annie explains that it's because they ate Brother Lin's bananas. However, the pink-haired girl doesn't believe Annie's words. She dismisses it, stating it's nonsense and questioning if those broken bananas are soaked in holy water to provide a status boost. The warrior girl says to the pink-haired girl, Gilia, that it was the banana that made them break through and advance. She mentions ascending to a 2-star demon spirit just a few seconds after eating the banana. The cat girl agrees, stating that just after they ate the banana, they entered a new realm. She wonders if the banana was enchanted by a magician of the demon sovereign level. The horseman adds that after eating, even he broke through 3 stages in a row, directly ascending to a 3-star great demon spirit, finding it unbelievable. He asks Lin about the origin of the bananas he gave them. On the other side, Lin is really confused. He doesn't understand the horseman's words. For Lin, these bananas are just ordinary. Getting this reaction from Lin, the horseman asks what's wrong. Lin says nothing, mentioning that being suddenly asked by him. He doesn't know how to answer, because they are just ordinary bananas. The horseman is not pleased with Lin's words, thinking it should be a hybrid crop that Lin grew with some magic item. Lin clarifies that he grew these bananas with natural and organic farming, a production method he thought of in this world full of magic. Hearing about the magical banana from their master, the pink-haired girl and the elf girl decide to eat it to increase their magic levels. After taking a bite, the banana rots, and the pink-haired girl throws it away, saying it's clearly bad. After seeing this, little Annie says it's synchronicity. Elizabeth praises her for knowing what synchronicity is. Annie mentions that she learned it from the magic books. At the same time, the horseman asks Annie what synchronicity means. Annie explains that the nuns' magic books mentioned special treasures usually have to be used under special conditions to exert their effects. She guesses that Lei Ping's banana had to be eaten by 3 or more people at the same time to produce an effect. Upon hearing this, the pink-haired girl gets angry at Annie, questioning why she pretends to know things she doesn't. She points out that Elizabeth ate the banana herself, and hers didn't rot. Annie apologizes, admitting she doesn't know either but suggests that unless the user's strength completely surpasses the treasure, it's nothing but an ordinary thing to them. On the other side, Elizabeth eats her banana without any problems and warns Annie not to look at her with those eyes. Annie apologizes, and the elf girl suggests that maybe it's because of his accumulated elf potion over time that produced the effect. The horseman asks Lin if he can share more fruits from his backpack to test if it's real. The elf girl questions if the horseman actually believes their nonsense about the magical banana. Lin happily says that sharing is the greatest joy and starts getting more fruits from his bag. Meanwhile, Elizabeth has already finished eating his banana. She snatches Lin's bag and declares that these are what she's going to eat later. She refuses to give her precious fruits to anyone and tells Lin to leave when they've rested enough because the journey is almost over. Lin apologizes to the horseman and says he will treat him well when he has the chance. The horseman understands the situation and tells Lin to go ahead. He'll catch up with his wives after packing up. Lin is grateful and suggests they set off together, but Elizabeth interrupts, urging him to hurry up or she will leave without him. Lin agrees and asks the horseman to gather up ahead and meet later. Seeing this, the horseman's wives are not happy, the cat girl whispers, suggesting they snatch that backpack away, as they might be hiding something even better. The horseman calms down his wives and says, "There's no rush. It's not the right time yet." He also mentions that ordinary people wouldn't casually carry such precious treasures, so she's definitely not a simple princess from a remote tribe. Recently, one of the four major powers, the Kingdom of Aristotle, is offering a high reward for information on the missing princess. If he is not mistaken, that princess is right in front of him now. If he can turn the princess into his woman during this opportunity, he can climb the ranks of the Kingdom of Aristotle's power. By then, he'll gain more than just these magical fruits before him. He starts laughing loudly and declares he will conquer Elizabeth and make her one of his harem girls. After seeing the horseman like this, his four wives start praising him, saying a charming pheromone is emanating from the master. They blame themselves, stating that they haven't been able to satisfy their master yet. In the depths of the labyrinth, many monsters hide in the shadows. One of them is the Shadow Wolf leader, a powerful monster who suddenly becomes really scared and runs away from there. In the next moment, three individuals entered the cave: Elizabeth, Leping, and the little girl, Annie. Lin asks Elizabeth about the darkening labyrinth and if there really is an exit. Elizabeth replies, "Didn't I already tell you the labyrinth is just an appearance, and we are almost there?" They start heading deeper into the cave, and from the cave's ceiling, something comes out. Little girl Annie gets really scared when she hears those noises. She tells Lin that something is approaching them. Leping asks Annie to explain clearly, but suddenly, something approaches them at high speed, and smoke covers everyone. When the smoke clears, we see the horseman arriving with his wives. He apologizes for keeping everyone waiting and asks Elizabeth for forgiveness. He also offers to serve Elizabeth for the rest of the way, suggesting that Elizabeth can even sit on his back. However, he doesn't realize that Elizabeth is a self-independent woman. She tells the horseman to get lost, stating that he's not qualified to be her mount. But the elf girl is not really happy. She calls Elizabeth an arrogant woman and asks her not to be shameless when their master gives her face. But in the next moment, that elf girl's head explodes. Everyone gets really surprised. They don't know what happened. Suddenly, some stones fall from above. When Lin turns his head to the ceiling, he sees many insect monsters, dragon fleas, who ate the elf girl's head. One of them jumps from the ceiling and opens its big mouth full of sharp teeth to attack Elizabeth. However, it doesn't know who Elizabeth is. Elizabeth's eyes glow red, and in the next moment, the monster explodes. Little girl Annie gets really scared, thinking that they're done for, and now everyone is going to die. Lin is also scared and runs to Elizabeth, catching her leg, and says it's a matter of life and death. He asks Elizabeth what they are going to do now. When Elizabeth sees what Lin is doing, she thinks Lin wants to test human nature and let the selfish and arrogant ones destroy themselves first. She believes this is Lin's first step to test them. All the dragon flea monsters start attacking with high speed. The warrior girl gets the carriage and transforms it into a shield. The pink-haired girl starts casting the spells Shield Transformation and Shield Blade, creating a shield barrier and getting the horseman and warrior girl inside. After seeing that, Lin asks, "What about us?" The horseman smiles and tells Lin to find a way by themselves, thinking this is a good opportunity to find out the strength of Elizabeth. If she doesn't make a move, her servant and the girl will be eaten by the monsters. The warrior girl arrogantly says, "Who cares about you now? The cooperation is over." The pink-haired girl laughs and tells Lin to just stay outside and be bait. But suddenly, the barrier she created gets destroyed, and her head goes flying. Seeing the pink-haired girl's head flying in the air, the warrior girl gets really scared. Now that the pink-haired girl is killed, the magic barrier she set up disappears, and monsters start attacking the horseman and his two remaining wives. On the other side, Lin is still hiding behind Elizabeth. The horseman uses his thunderbolt flash to kill monsters in just one attack. The warrior girl also uses her shield strike and kills the monsters. The cat girl is an assassination type. She uses her short blade technique to kill. But no matter how she kills these monsters, they seem never-ending. If this goes on, they will be exhausted at this rate. When the cat girl rests for a second, suddenly, a monster starts attacking her from above. Luckily, the horseman saves her after using his clapping thunder backstep. But no matter how many monsters they kill, there seems to be no end to this. Elizabeth asks Lin if he sees their true colors. Does he still want to continue this adventure game with them? Leping says, "Forget it. Coming here is to pay back the favor was wrong, and as they say, it's time to part ways. He thinks that the outside world is truly unpredictable, and maybe farming in the village suits him better. Elizabeth smiles because she thought that Lin first makes them swell, then determines if they have any value worth saving. This is his third step. She asks Leping to get ready to go out. Hearing this, Lin asks, "Go out? Is there any way?" She grabs Lin's hand and while pulling him, she tells him that the way is just ahead. But in the next moment, a monster approaches from behind and attacks little girl Annie. Annie gets really scared, and because of that, her normal eyes turn red. Her bunny doll transforms into a giant bunny and kills the monster with a single attack. After killing the monster, it changes back to a normal bunny. Little girl Annie catches it, but she doesn't know what happened just now. But before she can think anything, Lin asks her to come with them. Elizabeth suddenly stops and knocks in the air, and an invisible barrier appears in front. She starts casting a magic spell, and a few seconds later, the magic barrier disappears, and a really giant door comes out. Lin is really surprised to see that the exit is a hidden giant door. The giant door starts opening, and Elizabeth enters, asking Lin and Annie to hurry up and catch up with her. The horseman is staring at Lin, but Lin doesn't give a thought about him. He asks Annie to let's go. After Elizabeth, both of them go through the door. On the other side, the horseman and his wives are fighting with monsters. The horseman asks his wives to hurry up and get on his back. He is really angry and shouts, "Do they think they can shake us off like this?" He starts running to the giant door with full speed. A moment later, they reach the door and enter before it closes. And when they enter, they get really surprised. The room is filled with gold and jewelries. They all were really surprised that they're standing on a flying island filled with treasure. Lin gets really excited seeing all that. He said, "There's so much gold now, we are rich." Little girl Annie is also standing there thinking if they can really take some of it. Suddenly that horseman comes and pushes Lin to the side. His wife pushes little girl Annie as well. The horseman stands in front, and after seeing the treasure, he starts to smile, thinking that the treasure he's been working so hard to get really exists. The treasure he is talking about is the Demon King's nectar. Lin interrupts them and said, "Now that we've found the treasure, we have to share this. We don't ask for your gratitude, so don't be too unreasonable." But the horseman is not happy. He looks back at Lin and replies, "Yes. I didn't expect you all to be so helpful in filling the numbers." He smiles like a demon and says, "As a thank you, I will let you die quickly." However, before the horseman tries to do anything, the gold coins start to fall, and a big yellow eye opens from the gold coins. The whole island starts shaking suddenly, and a big dragon appears in front of everyone. It was the golden dragon, owner of all the treasure. Seeing the dragon, Lin was really surprised. He calls Elizabeth and asks her to look at the dragon. This is the first time Lin has seen a real dragon, but Elizabeth doesn't seem to care. On the other side, little girl Annie's whole body is shaking with fear, and she mentions that there's something more terrifying hidden. Suddenly, her eyes turn black, and she said, "Master, what do we do now?" Seeing little girl Annie like that, Elizabeth gets suspicious, but before she can say something, the golden dragon roars loudly at the horseman and his wives. The warrior girl asks the horseman and cat girl what should they do since the dragon is really powerful. However, the horseman ignores them, asking them to buy him some time and let him charge up to kill the dragon with one strike. The cat girl and warrior girl agree and were about to start attacking the dragon. But the dragon attacks them first. All three of them back down and get ready. The warrior girl asks the cat girl to distract its attention so she can attack properly. The cat girl tells her to leave everything to her. Using her clone technique, she creates 100 clones and starts attacking the dragon. On the other side, the horseman looks at the dragon and smiles. He thinks that now the giant dragon is the only threat, so he doesn't need to hide his power anymore. He decides to call upon all his magic to gather energy for his strongest move, Swift Thunder Flash. He stands and starts gathering all his energy into his sword. His sword starts glowing. On the other side, the cat girl continuously attacks the dragon with her assassination technique. But for some reason, her skills are not working, and she can't get a single scratch on the dragon. Suddenly, the warrior girl, who is also powered up, asks the cat girl to let her handle it now. She uses her skill, Shield Transformation Blaster, and throws her really big shield at the dragon. There are some rockets in that shield which also start to boost the speed of the throw. The shield does not miss and directly hits that golden dragon. The warrior girl is happy, thinking it worked. This is the new move she learned after becoming a 2-star demon spirit. But all her happiness shatters when she sees that the dragon doesn't get any scratches after being hit by a massive shield. Now, it gets really angry at the warrior girl and attacks her with its giant foot. The warrior girl, without her shield, is unable to protect herself. She gets smashed by the dragon's foot, leaving only her smashed body and some blood on the ground. After seeing this horrifying scene, the cat girl gets really mad. She starts using her 1,000-person clone technique. In the next moment, thousands of cat girls come out and start attacking the dragon. The cat girl says, "Although I can't do much damage to you, it should be enough to disturb you." But she misunderstands the dragon. The dragon opens her wings and uses his skill, Golden Hurricane. All the gold coins surrounding him start creating a tornado around him. He uses the gold coins to throw and kill the clans of the cat girl. One by one, all the cat girl's clones start to die. In the next moment, when the dragon gets faster, Lin and Elizabeth also start getting attacked by these gold coins. Lin is standing there without doing anything, and those gold coins just fly by him. Elizabeth looks at Lin and says, "Lin, you are so calm, but that's to be expected from you." But Elizabeth doesn't know that Lin is really scared, and he almost died just now. But the dragon doesn't stop and continues his attack. Little girl Annie's eyes again turn black, and she uses her dollhouse release summon technique. Suddenly, a massive bear comes out and stands in front of them to defend. It starts protecting them from the dragon's attack. At the same time, when the horseman is casting his skill, some of the gold coins fly towards him. But the cat girl notices that and jumps to protect her master. She starts defending him with her sword. However, when she thinks everything is fine, a gold coin comes flying and splits her head. Now only the horseman remains. He completes his skill casting and uses his 300% lightning flash technique to attack. He was confident that as this strike, even a demon spirit can't block. He aims at the dragon's neck, but his skill doesn't work, and the dragon is standing unscratched. On the other side, his sword broke into pieces. The horseman was shocked. He doesn't know what happened. While the horseman was worried about his sword, suddenly the dragon attacks him using its tail. The horseman goes flying, and while hitting the treasure mountain, he goes to the other side of that island. This happened because the horseman doesn't realize that the dragon they're fighting is a 4-star level demon sect monster. After dealing with that horseman, now the dragon stands in front of Lin's group. After seeing the horseman's fight with the dragon, Lin thought, "Did the centaur die from its tail slap? Looks like I have to use my trump card." So he calls Elizabeth. Elizabeth asks him, what is he going to do next? Lin, with a serious expression, tells Elizabeth to take action. Elizabeth is surprised, thinking, did Lin find out already? But she was wrong. Lin was scared. He tells her to take action. Otherwise, they might die. Elizabeth, with an annoyed expression, tells Lin not to order her in front of outsiders. She is angry, thinking Lin wants to use little girl Annie to threaten her. While both of them were talking, suddenly little girl Annie said, "The real terror hasn't come yet. We might never get out of here." Hearing this, something feels off to Elizabeth. She went to little girl Annie and examined her. She immediately realizes that little girl Annie has the bloodline of Jimji. She asks Annie to let her see what her magic is all about. Elizabeth placed her hand on Annie's head, and a purple light surrounded her body. After that, Annie started remembering her past when she was playing and eating with her younger siblings. One day, black robe monsters attacked them, and when they tried to kill Annie and her siblings, Annie suddenly awakened her bloodline power, killing all of them but losing control and also killing her younger siblings. The trauma of that day did not leave Annie's side, so Annie forcibly suppressed her magic to alter her memory. After finding out this, Elizabeth released her magic and let go of Annie. When Annie falls to the ground and Elizabeth tells little girl Annie how stupid she is and released her magic. Little girl Annie started crying, saying, "It's all my fault, brother and sister. I killed you. I'm sorry." But Elizabeth didn't care. She told Annie that Annie is a disgrace to the Jimji clan's bloodline, and if she wants to escape from the prison of regret and stand up and fight for her. After hearing Elizabeth's words, Annie agreed. She stood up saying, "At least this time I want to protect Brother Leping." She started floating in the sky. Lin was shocked to see her like that. Then Annie used her puppet magic summoning magic skill. Suddenly many big and powerful puppets made of Annie's soft doll appeared. Seeing all those puppets, that golden dragon got angry and started attacking Annie, but her panda puppet blocked the dragon's attack with its fluffy body. Then Panda grabbed the dragon's leg so it couldn't move. On the other side, the rabbit doll started attacking the dragon, striking multiple times in the same spot. Because of those continuous attacks, the golden dragon's hard body starts to break, and the dragon screams in pain. Lynn asked Elizabeth what did she do to Annie just now, and how did Annie change so much. Elizabeth told Lynn that she did nothing much, just made Annie accept reality. The golden dragon attacked the rabbit again and pushed it to the ground. Annie struggled with the dragon. She commanded her rabbit puppet to grab the dragon's other leg. When the dragon attacked the rabbit, it grabbed its hand. Both the panda and rabbit were preventing the dragon from moving, and little girl Annie commanded her snake puppet to attack the dragon. The snake puppet grabbed the dragon's whole body and started attacking. The dragon used its golden hurricane to counter, but little girl Annie's eagle puppet used its wind magic to stop the dragon's attack. All the coins that were meant to kill start to fly away because of wind magic. Lynn was genuinely surprised after seeing Annie's power. He praised that Annie is truly amazing. At the moment, Lynn remembers what Elizabeth said before. He asks her what does she mean by Annie having the Jimji bloodline. But before he could finish his words, someone grabbed Lynn's bag and snatched it with lightning flash. Because of that, Lynn fell on the ground. The one who attacked Lynn was the horseman, who was still alive. He got Lynn's bag containing magical fruits. Seeing him alive, Elizabeth said, "This scum hasn't died yet." On the other side, Lynn, who was robbed of his bag, asks him to give back the bag. But the horseman pays no attention to them. He opens the bag and takes out Lynn's fruits, and while laughing like a creep, he says, "Lynn, the trump cards of yours, fruits of the realm, are now mine." He starts eating Lynn's magical fruits, and one by one, he eats all of them without stopping. Lynn doesn't understand and asks him, "What is he doing?" Lynn says, "It's already late, and you still want to eat." But after eating Lynn's magical fruits, something starts changing in the horseman's body. Purple smoke appears from his body, and his eyes start to shine. He shouts, "Here comes my true power." And suddenly, his body starts to grow. All the armor he was wearing falls one by one, and with that, the horseman transforms into an ugly monster. He is now a Hawthorne Therius, and his level is unknown. He exclaims that, this power that keeps pouring out has awakened unprecedented strength in his body. He starts laughing like a villain. The horseman says that with this power, he is no longer afraid of those old guys from the Sword Saint Guild. Hearing all his trash talk, that golden dragon gets really angry, and before the horseman could complete his words, the golden dragon starts attacking him with its dragon breath. But the horseman dodges the dragon's attack with lightning speed and suddenly appears in front of the dragon's face. He shouts, "Stop bothering me, you lizard." He prepares his thunder kick and attacks the golden dragon in the face. The golden dragon flies away and falls on the ground with a single blow. After killing the dragon, he heads to the treasure which was placed in the middle, lifting the coffin filled with some kind of liquid. Horseman says, "If I add this, I can't even imagine how strong I will become." He starts drinking it, and that thing's effect immediately starts to show. His eyes turn red and changes start happening in his body. Horns emerge from his head, and wings start to pop out from his back. He evolves into the evil face form. He looks at where Lynn and others were and says, "It's worthy of being the Demon King's sweet wine." Now I gradually understood everything. When Lynn sees that the horseman is getting weirder and weirder, he asks Elizabeth to hurry up and do something. But little girl Annie, who was standing in front, acts brave and tells Lynn not to worry. She says, "I won't let him get close to you, Brother Leping." She starts casting her puppet magic, but before she could complete it, the horseman immediately closes the gap and stabs her with his arm. He kills little girl Annie and says, "First, I will eliminate some as a threat." Lynn is shocked seeing Annie like that, his eyes filled with tears. The horseman throws Annie and heads toward Lynn, saying, "Next is his turn." But Lynn runs to Annie. He grabs Annie's hand and tells her to hang in there because Elizabeth will save her. On the other side, the horseman comes to Elizabeth. He says, "I know you are hiding your strength, but it doesn't matter." Now, he goes face to face with Elizabeth and says, "I will give you two choices. First, willingly become my woman, then take me back to your kingdom and help me inherit everything. Second, be slowly played by me until you become a waste, and then be used by me as a bargaining chip to get what I want. Saying that, he starts to laugh, which looks very disgusting with his face. Lin is really angry and asks Elizabeth to kill the horseman now. After hearing Lin's words, the horseman gets angry, saying, "Is it not your turn to talk, you trash servant?" He jumps towards Lin and starts attacking Lin with his Thunder Road. But when he attacks Lin, a huge explosion happens there, and the horseman goes flying, and all his legs break down. Smoke covers everyone, and when the smoke starts to disappear, we see Leping saying, "Fine, I won't pretend anymore now." The horseman pulls back himself. He was really confused about what just happened, feeling as if all the damage caused by his attack was instantly rebounded at him. He looks at Elizabeth in front and asks her if she did that. But Elizabeth ignores him because all her focus was on Lin. She already knows that even her, the Demon Queen's magic, can't harm the clothes Lin created with his own hands. So she thinks Lin deliberately made the horseman attack just now to let him pave the road to his own destruction. Lin's clothes are shining in a beautiful blue light. He tells the horseman that everyone calls him the hero. But wait a minute. Is he finally going to show his power? Nah, just kidding. In the next moment, Lin comes to his senses. He is really nervous, thinking it is just as he thought. Lin thinks that since he serves Elizabeth and provides her delicious food, she protects him in exchange. Therefore, as long as he is useful to her, she won't let him die. No matter the degree of danger, it's not worth mentioning in front of the Demon Queen. Anyone who wishes to kill him is the same as them trying to destroy the Queen's rice bowl. On the other hand, the horseman thinks Elizabeth is truly baffling. He laughs like a devil and says, "Elizabeth, you are so prideful and forgetful, but I only used less than half of my strength just now." He looks at Elizabeth with an angry expression and says, "Women, when facing a great stallion like me, you could have found joy. But Elizabeth, you decided to reject my iron hoof." The horseman shouts, "If that's your wish, then die for me." He jumps in the air to attack Elizabeth, saying, "The next one will be a full blow. If you have the ability, keep rebounding, and let's see if you succeed." But before he attacks Elizabeth, someone attacks him. His face gets crushed, and he falls on the ground with a solid impact. Elizabeth, who is standing there without any fear, asks, "Have you finally woken up?" The horseman is lying on the ground, and all the bones in his body are crushed. He is in too much pain and asks her what just happened. His condition is not looking good. Suddenly something slowly comes out from the sky. It is the golden dragon, which is so big that the floating island they all were standing on looks tiny in front of the dragon. After witnessing this moment, the horseman, who can die any minute, realizes this is the dragon's true form. But he is really confused, thinking about the one he just killed. What was that? Suddenly, the dragon the horseman just killed starts melting. After melting, that dragon merges into the dragon tail. Elizabeth looks at the golden dragon and thinks, "Are you using your tail as a pet teaser? That's a little trick I often used to play with you before." This is the Dragon Void Realm form, and she is the Golden Dragon Queen. Her rank is a 1-star Demon King. She is really big and can destroy the whole island with her hand. The horseman is too scared after looking at the golden dragon's true form. He says it's impossible because he has the power of a demon king, so there's no way he can lose. But before he says something more, the dragon kills him. The dragon uses her fingertip to kill him, and with this, the horseman is finally dead. Lin is really surprised and asks Elizabeth if this is real. Elizabeth misunderstands Lin. She thinks Lin is pretending and has already discovered the golden dragon a long time ago. Suddenly, everything turns gold, and the whole island starts disappearing. Elizabeth explains to Lin that this space where they are isn't real. It's just an illusion that the dragon created. After everything disappears, everyone is floating. Lin is really surprised to see themselves floating in space. Elizabeth gets annoyed after seeing Lin like this and says, "Even if magic is your weak spot, this wouldn't escape your perception." In the next moment, the dragon says something to Elizabeth in the demon language, and Elizabeth also replies to him in the demon language. After hearing Elizabeth's words, the dragon starts crying like a 4-year-old child, and tears start falling from her eyes. Suddenly, smoke covers the dragon's whole body, and that giant golden dragon turns into a cute loli. While crying, she said, "Master, it's really you. I was waiting for you to be back." This crybaby Loki is Emilia, Elizabeth's pet. Emilia hugs Elizabeth tightly. Elizabeth looks at her and says, "You have already been promoted to the Demon King level. Are you still that naive?" Elizabeth originally didn't want to come here and wake Amelia up because she's so clingy. But Amelia catches Elizabeth's leg, and while crying says, "Master, don't leave me again. You have been gone for 500 years without a word. Do you know how much I missed you?"